I work blind, got vision I don't need to see. I'm picking mind over matter, I believe in me. I need to find more hours in the day to breathe. Need to find more power in the way I be. And when my mind turns sour with the painful scenes, I need to scream out loud, I can't stop me. I wanna be the greatest like Rocky. You know I leave them all hating like a hobby. I'm out here making moves like a lobby. And if you ain't with me, it's your loss. See, I got my mind on the facts, I'm a python, grab what I like real fast. Choke until I have everything I attack, everything that I lack, everything that I want, and I see matter of fact.
Cause I'm my own worst enemy. Only if I let it be. I can control anything if I can just think carefully. I control my destiny. Deep up in my mind I manifest it. Every morning I wake up obsessed, and everything I do the best. And deep within my mind you know I'll always manifest it.
Hello and welcome to My Mind Over Your Matter. My name is Rick, and very, very, very breaking news that we have midday here, and it's 12:11 p.m. Giant win for America and for President Trump on the birthright citizenship case that was pretty much in favor for America and for President Trump. Let's go. Well, not really live, but I have it up here and I have it paused so we could watch President Trump speak. Let's go straight to it. It will be silence for a little bit, but they will be walking in shortly and they will be talking. And here is President Trump.
Well, this was a big one, wasn't it? This was a big decision. Amazing decision, one that we're very happy about. This morning, the Supreme Court has delivered a monumental victory for the Constitution, the separation of powers, and the rule of law in striking down the excessive use of nationwide injunctions to interfere with the normal functioning of the executive branch. The Supreme Court has stopped the presidency itself. That's what they've done. And really, it's been an amazing period of time this last hour. There are people elated all over the country. I've seen such happiness and spirit. Sometimes you don't see that, but this case is very important. I was elected on a historic mandate, but in recent months, we've seen a handful of radical left judges effectively try to overrule the rightful powers of the president to stop the American people from getting the policies, that they voted for in record numbers. It was a grave threat to democracy, frankly, and instead of merely ruling on the immediate cases before them, these judges have attempted to dictate the law for the entire nation. In practice, this meant that if any one of the nearly 700 federal judges disagreed with the policy of a duly elected president of the United States, he or she could block that policy from going into effect or at least delay it for many years, tie it up in the court system. This was a colossal abuse of power which never occurred in American history prior to recent decades. And we've been hit with more nationwide injunctions than were issued in the entire 20th century together. Think of it, more than the entire 20th century. Me. I'm grateful to the Supreme Court for stepping in and solving this very, very big and complex problem, and they've made it very simple. I want to thank Justice Barrett, who wrote the opinion brilliantly, as well as Chief Justice Roberts and Justices Alito, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Thomas. Great people. Thanks for this decision, and thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with numerous policies that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis. And some of the cases we're talking about would be ending birthright citizenship, which now comes to the fore. That was meant for the babies of slaves. It wasn't meant for people trying to scam the system and come into the country on a vacation. This was, in fact, it was the same date, the exact same date, the end of the Civil War. It was meant for the babies of slaves, and it's so clean and so obvious. But this lets us go there and finally win that case, because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under right citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves. So thanks to this decision, we can now promptly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people. We have so many of them. I have a whole list. I'm not going to bore you, and I'm going to have Pam get up and say a few words, but there's really, she can talk as long as she wants, because this is a very important decision. This is a decision that covers a tremendous amount of territory. But I want to just thank again the Supreme Court for this ruling. It's a giant. It's a giant. And they should be very proud, and our country should be very proud of the Supreme Court today. And with that, I'd like you to listen to the words of Pam Bondi. She's an incredible attorney general. We're very proud of her. And as you know, Todd Blanche is with us, and we have so many others that worked on this case and other cases. And I think they're doing a great job. Pam, please say a few words.
Thank you, President Trump. Thank you for fighting for all Americans. Americans are finally getting what they voted for. No longer will we have rogue judges striking down President Trump's policies across the entire nation. No longer. Today, in the 6-3 opinion, Justice Barrett correctly holds that the district court lacks authority to enter nationwide or universal injunctions. These lawless injunctions gave relief to everyone in the world instead of the parties before the court. As the Supreme Court held today, they turned district courts into the imperial judiciary. Active liberal judges have used these injunctions to block virtually all of President Trump's policies. To put this in perspective, there are 94 federal judicial districts. 5 of those districts throughout this country held 35 of the nationwide injunctions. Think about that. 94 districts, and 35 out of the 40 opinions with nationwide injunctions came from 5 liberal districts in this country. No longer. No longer. These injunctions have blocked our policies, from tariffs to military readiness to immigration to foreign affairs, fraud, abuse, and many other issues. The judges have tried to seize the executive branch's power, and they cannot do that. No longer. No longer. And on immigration, on a side note, today marks 2,711 arrests on these terrorists and these gangs. Total arrest today with HSI investigations. And thank you, Stephen Miller. Thank you to Homeland Security. Thank you to everyone working hand in hand with the FBI on all of these transnational gangs. TDA has been a huge terror to our country, as well as MS-13, as well as Sinaloa cartels. No longer. No longer. These injunctions have allowed district court judges to be emperors. They vetoed all of President Trump's power, and they cannot do that. This has been a bipartisan problem that has lasted 5 presidential terms, 5 different presidents, and it has ended today. We will continue to fight for President Trump's policies. I want to thank the Office of White House Counsel, Dave Warrington. You and your staff have been incredible. Our Solicitor General's office, John Sowers, Sarah Harris, and Todd Blanche and Emil Bovey. Todd's going to say a few words because we've had another major ruling today on transgender books and some other great wins that we've had. But no longer will they have this power in our country. It is the president's authority under his executive branch to do everything to fight for the American people, and he will continue to do that. That's why he was overwhelmingly elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Today's a great day for the rule of law. It's a great day for the Justice Department, and it's one that's been a long time coming, and one that every American should have been waiting for with bated breath. And so I echo what the president said and Attorney General Bondi, that the Supreme Court did a great thing today, not only for this administration, but for every American in this country. If not for the injunctions case, we would be here talking about another great decision that came down today, the trans books case, which restores parents' rights to decide their child's education. Seems like a basic idea, but it took the Supreme Court to set the record straight, and we thank them for that. And now that ruling allows parents to opt out of dangerous trans ideology and make the decisions for their children that they believe is correct. And so we thank the Supreme Court for that. There's been multiple decisions over the past several weeks that just show why this nationwide injunction ban had to happen. For example, what I mean by that is local district court judges issuing decisions that are clearly contrary to law just because they don't like the policy of President Trump. And when it gets to the Supreme Court has to correct it. But that takes time. The Attorney General thanked our lawyers, and I'll do it again. Our lawyers are working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to fight these injunctions and to emergency appeals, emergency stays, going back to the district court judge, asking them to change their view. And so their hard work is really paying off today, but over the past few weeks. We had a stay of an order that prevented DHS from moving aliens to a third country. We had a stay of an order that stopped the Department of Defense from implementing military readiness, the EO that President Trump signed. We had another stay of an order forcing reinstatement of fired executive branch employees entirely within the president in Article 2, his right to do. We had a stay of, as you all know, of numerous DOJ cases. And again, every one of those stays requires a tremendous amount of work and effort by the lawyers and parties involved. And they should be doing other work. They should be doing the work that the president and this administration demands and has a right to demand, and not fighting these local judges who don't make decisions based on the law. They make decisions because they just simply don't agree with the administration's decision about a policy, and that's wrong. Thank you.
Any questions? Yes, for Pam, please.
Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Attorney General. So as you know, the Supreme Court did not rule on the underlying constitutionality of the president's birthright citizenship order. So what is the plan now? Are you going to try to implement the EO just in states where there isn't a legal challenge?
Yes, so birthright citizenship will be decided in October in the next session by the Supreme Court, unless it comes down in the next few minutes. I guess it could come down. I think they're still deliberating right now on some cases. As you heard, we just got transgender books, which is a huge win, but most likely that will be decided in October in the next session. However, it indirectly impacts us because, as you correctly pointed out, if there's a birthright citizenship case in Oregon, it will only affect the plaintiff in Oregon, not the entire country. So yes, it's indirectly, but that's pending litigation, and we're waiting on that in the next term.
And how concerned are you that the Supreme Court will come back and determine that the executive order is
Oh,
unconstitutional?
we're very confident in the Supreme Court, but again, it's pending litigation, and that will directly be determined in October, but it indirectly impacts every case in this country, and we're thrilled with their decision today. Peter.
Madam Attorney General, thank you for being here to take our questions. A couple questions to the both of you. The EO had a 30-day grace period before it goes into effect. Is there any thought about trying to make it effective immediately within that period of time?
We're going to follow the law. We're going to make those decisions, and we're going to do what's right in the bounds of the law.
And then the DOJ didn't ask the justices to rule on the merits of the birthright citizenship ban, just for explanation purposes, why?
Sure, because that's going to come down in October in the separate. This was huge because it's indirectly impacted today. As I said, it's case by case. Let me reiterate, of the 35 of the 40 nationwide injunctions filed against this president, against his executive authority as president of the United States, 35 of them came from Maryland, DC, Massachusetts, California, Washington. I mean, that's crazy. These 5 districts. So yes, it indirectly impacts us. It will be a separate decision in October. Next question.
Thank you, Mr. President. A question for you, sir. Do you believe this ends the power of the lower court judges to stop your agenda? Do you see this as a full green light for your agenda going forward?
Well, you'd have to really speak to the lawyers about that. But this is really also a decision based on common sense. It didn't work the other way. It was a disaster where somebody from a certain location in a very liberal state, or a liberal judge, or a liberal group of judges could tie up a whole country for years, because their decision would sometimes take years to overturn. We've overturned many of the decisions, but it would take years to do it. And we have to act quickly when it comes to illegal immigration. We have murderers, killers, we have drug dealers, we have what they've allowed to come into our country. Should never be forgotten. It should never be forgotten what they've done to our country, and we have to be able to act very quickly, and we're going to do that. Thank you.
Justice Amy Coney Barrett, sir, I know that you praised her and her opinion here in this case. She has taken some heat, though, from some of your supporters who have labeled her weak, a squishy, a rattled law professor. What is your take on that?
I don't know about that. I just have great respect for her. I always have, and her decision was brilliantly written today. From all accounts, yeah.
Transgender rulers,
Mr. President, what would you say to Americans who fear that this is more and more concentration of power in the White House and the executive?
Well, this really brings back the Constitution. This is what it's all about, and this is really the opposite of that. I mean, the question is fine, but it's the opposite. The Constitution has been brought back.
Thank you so much, President Trump. Illegal crossings in the border are 0 now.
0. Does everyone hear that?
Trump 2028.
Do you intend, President Trump?
Wow. On my screen, Trump 2028.
He's working the cameras.
Wow, I can't believe someone said Trump 2028.
Personally, with leaders from South America, not only Central America,
Sure.
in order to
I
tackle
do that
this
anyway.
situation in
I
a
do that
fruitful
anyway.
way, and if you have a perspective of meeting some
Sure.
presidents from South America, as Brazil, for example.
Well, you should, as an example, not South America, but NATO over the weekend.
Yeah.
They have great respect for our country now. They did things that nobody thought was possible. They took funding from 2% to 5%. Nobody thought they'd ever pay the 2%, and now they're paying the 5%. It's over $1 trillion more a year. Think of that, $1 trillion. Nobody thought that could happen. That's a different group of people, different countries. But we get along with a lot of countries. We are respected again. Our country, the U.S., is respected again. Was not respected 6 months ago. I can tell you. Yeah, go ahead, Trace.
Yeah, Mr. President, you have a deadline coming up on trade in 2 weeks. Which countries, if
On
any,
what?
on trade, on tariffs,
Yeah.
sir? Which countries, if any, are close to agreements with the administration?
Well, that's an interesting question. We've made a deal with China. We've made a deal with probably 4 or 5 different countries. With the UK, it was a great deal for both. And we're in the process of making some others. But ultimately, in fact, Scott is here. Howard Lutnick, these two guys have been doing an incredible job, and the people that work with them have been doing an incredible job. But you know, we have 200 countries. You could say 200 countries plus. We can't do that. So at a certain point over the next week and a half or so, or maybe before, we're going to send out a letter. We talk to many of the countries, and we're just going to tell them what they have to pay to do business in the United States. And it's going to go very quickly. But some of the bigger countries, so India, I think we're going to reach a deal where we have the right to go in and trade. Right now, it's restricted. You can't walk in there. You can't even think about it. We're looking to get a full trade barrier dropping, which is unthinkable. And I'm not sure that that's going to happen. But as of this moment, we've agreed to that, go into Indian trade. We're going to be trading in China. That's going to come a little bit down the road, but we're going to be trading in China. We have a lot of great things going, and we're getting along with countries, but some will be disappointed because they're going to have to pay tariffs. And we've taken in already hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs. No inflation. The only problem we have is we have a Fed guy that doesn't understand what's happening, and it would be great if he'd lower the rate because we'd be able to borrow a lot cheaper. Yeah, go ahead, please. Why don't we keep it on this subject? This is such a big subject. You know what? Trade is so big, but this, I don't know, in a certain way, this might be bigger than trade. I think this is bigger than trade. Yes, please, go ahead.
I was wondering, though, if you could,
Go ahead.
sir, on the transgender ruling, the Supreme Court ruling that parents with religious objections can pull their kids out of public school lessons that use LGBTQ materials. Pam brought it up. Your reaction to that ruling today, sir?
I think the ruling was a great ruling, and I think it's a great ruling for parents. It's really a ruling for parents. They lost control of the schools. They lost control of their child. And this is a tremendous victory for parents. And I'm not surprised by it, but I am surprised that it went this far. It took us to bring life back to normal. So it's wonderful. It's parental. And I kept saying, we will give you back your parental rights. They were taken away, and this is a tremendous victory for parents. Yeah.
Mr. President, if you look at the back at the last week, it's been extraordinary in terms of the action in the Middle East. You were at The Hague. I'm
Been a
wondering
hell of a
now.
week, hasn't it?
I'm wondering now if you
It's
believe
been
that
so
Iran.
weak.
I'm wondering now, sir, if you believe that Iran has given up its long history of ambitions with nuclear weapons, or what you would like to see from them to prove that they do, and what type of meetings is your administration looking for next week with Iran?
So Iran wants to meet. As you know, their sites were obliterated. They're very evil nuclear sites. They were now has been proven. We had some fake news for a little while. The same people that covered the Hunter Biden laptop was from Russia. The same people that did 3 or 4 other Russia hoax.
But on their
No, wait, just listen. They came up with something that delayed the credit that our great pilots and these great what talent that was, and they hit it right down in the spot. 52,000 feet. Think of this dark, no moon. You couldn't see a thing. And they hit the refrigerator door, as they say. That's the size of a target. And overwhelmingly. And it's amazing what was done. We're the only ones that could have done it. And we took out the 2 of the other sites also. In addition to that, we finished them off. That was a very evil intention. I believe that, and again, time will tell, but I don't believe that they're going to go back into nuclear anytime soon. They spent over $1 trillion on nuclear, and they never got it together. And nothing was moved from the site, by the way. To do that is very dangerous. It's very, very heavy material. Those cars were most likely the cars of Masons because they were pouring concrete at the top, at the hatch, as you know, the hatch going into the nuclear site. They wanted to reinforce it, and they had some Masons there pouring concrete. By the way, that concrete was obliterated. It hit exactly at the concrete. It was, I don't think it had a chance to dry, but everything's down there. It's under millions of tons of rock. Please. Yes.
Your administration has said that El Salvador is one of the safest countries in the hemisphere. So why haven't you yet canceled temporary protected status in that country? Was it part of the deal?
Well, we'll
with the
take a look.
president?
We've had a great relationship with El Salvador. They have a fantastic leader. They built a massive prison system. And I don't know exactly why, but it's a hell of a system. And we bring people there, and when they go there, they don't get out. And frankly, when they hear they have to go there, they become very nice people. They become very nice people. It's a tough system, but it's a brilliant system. And It's a system done by a very, very good leader. We'll talk about El Salvador. A lot of respect. Yeah, please.
Thank you. A question for you and then a question for the Attorney General. As you go into negotiations and talks with Iran, are you demanding not only that there would be no uranium production inside of Iran, but also that Iran would turn over all existing stockpiles of uranium?
Well, we're a little early for that, but something like that. Yeah, we'll do something like that. Let me say that I've been saying for 25 years, even as a civilian, you cannot let them have a nuclear weapon. And that's what happened. It's been obliterated. It would be years before they could ever get going. And I really think it's probably the last thing. They have to recover from a hell of a tough war.
Would you also be demanding that the IAEA have full rights to inspect in Iran?
Or somebody, yeah, or somebody that we respect, including ourselves.
And a question for both the President and the Attorney General. Under birthright citizenship, if this is implemented, who would be tasked with actually vetting citizenship? And how, would this be a situation where you have nurses and doctors checking for citizenship of parents? Or?
This is all pending litigation. It's going to be decided in October by the Supreme Court, and we'll discuss that after the litigation.
If you have an undocumented baby, would that baby then be an enforcement priority?
The violent criminals in our country are the priority now. Let me put it in perspective. Today marked the 2,711th arrest in our country of TDA members, just TDA. Everyone in this room agrees they are one of the most violent criminal organizations in the world. And the Biden administration let them walk into our country for the last 4 years. 2,711 of them today have been arrested in our country. That is the priority of Donald Trump. That is the priority of this country, of Homeland Security, of all of our lawyers, of FBI. That's the priority. That will be discussed in October when the Supreme Court hopefully rules in our favor, and we're very confident of that. But you should all feel safer now that President Trump can deport all of these gangs, and not one district court judge can think they're an emperor over this administration and his executive powers and why the people of the United States elected him.
I just might add one thing. And, they used birthright citizenship, some of the worst people, some of the cartels, to get people into our country, just so you know. And again, I say, if you look at the end of the Civil War, the 1800s, it was a very turbulent time. If you take the end day, was it 1869 or whatever? But you take that exact day, that's when the case was filed. And the case ended shortly thereafter. This has to do with the babies of slaves, very, very obviously. And I think we're going to win. People I don't think they went about discussing it right. I came along and we looked and we said, wait a minute, this is wrong. We've been looking at birthright citizenship wrong for years, but they've used it. The cartels have used birthright citizenship to get very bad people in. And what Pam's doing and what Todd and everybody else, what they're doing at DOJ and all over, FBI, ICE, Border Patrol, these are incredible people. They're trying to keep our country safe, and they don't want to have people come in. This is just another way that they get illegal immigrants into our country, and in some cases, very, very bad ones. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. On your tax bill, if I could for a moment, senators are racing to rewrite parts of it right now after the Senate parliamentarian ruled that sections of it were outside of the process that they're using to get this through. Do you think that senators should respect the decisions of the parliamentarian? And what have you personally done in the last 48 hours to try and get Republican senators who are against the bill to a yes?
Well, look, it's a great bill. It's a massive tax cut. If it's not approved, your taxes will go up by 68%. Think of that, 68, a record, the highest in the history. The Democrats won't approve it only because politically it's so good for the Republicans. The Democrats aren't approving it. But think of what they're not approving. They're not approving border security. We've done a great job at the border, but we have to add some wall. We have to do various things. We have no money for that. We have no money for the border. We have no money for so many things. But if the Democrats, it'd be interesting to see if we get any Democrat votes. We should. If I were a Democrat, I would absolutely, maybe Fetterman, because he seems to be the most sensible one lately. If I were a Democrat, I would vote for this bill all day long because it's tax cuts and so many other things that are common sense. They're basic things. I think they're doing fine. The parliamentarian's been a little difficult, and I would say that I disagree with the parliamentarian on some things, and on other ways he's been fine. But we'll have to see. It's a big issue. I will tell you this: if that bill doesn't pass, the country will get a 68% tax increase. So think of this: you're a Democrat and you vote against it. That means you're voting in favor, because essentially you're voting in favor of the largest tax hike in the history of our country. And you can't do that. In addition, we're cutting costs by $1.7 trillion, and it won't affect anybody. It's just fraud, waste, and abuse.
Mr. President, Mr. President, a leading global economist just did a 180 and says your tariff plan may have outsmarted everybody with it. What is your message?
I love this. I love this question. This is the favorite. This is the best question I've ever been asked, because I've been going through abuse for years on this. Because as you know, we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, no inflation whatsoever.
Mr. President, what is your message to critics who think your tariff plan will cause a recession?
I think they should go back to business school. It's so
Oh, damn.
And we're taking in billions and billions of dollars from China and a lot of other countries.
Ooh, go back to business
I
school.
had a call from somebody in the House.
That's a mic drop.
High official. Sir, we have a problem. We don't know what to do. The books are a mess. I said, what do I mean by the books? The books, the money coming in. It's so terrible. I figured, oh boy, what's this? I don't like this question. I said, so what seems, there's so much money coming in, and there must be some kind of an accounting mistake, because we have hundreds of billions of dollars more money than we thought. I said, do me a favor, go check call me back. You have to call me back. Check the tariff column. Calls me back 2 hours later, says, you're right. We took in 88 billion in tariffs. They have so much money coming in. But more important than the money coming in, we have companies coming in, factories coming in, auto plants being built. AI is being built here instead of being built all over Europe and Asia. We have all of it. We have over $15 trillion, just about, Scott. I think we're right at about that number. We went to Saudi Arabia. We went to Qatar. We went to UAE. Very smart people, very smart leaders, great leaders. And we took in $5.1 trillion just there without the tariffs. I mean, they also liked a thing called November 5th, November 6th, and November 7th. That was a very good little period of time. It's called the presidential election. You know, you used to have one-day election. Now you have it go over. But even if you just took that little period, because it was pretty obvious it was going to be a landslide. And they like that, but they love the tariffs. I had Texas Instruments come in the other day, big company, and he said, we're putting in $60 billion into new plants and new equipment, new everything.
Yeah, that's such a great investment, man.
I ever took the tariffs off, and we are going to absolutely keep it. And they're worried that somebody that, like this communist from New York, someday gets elected. I can't believe that's happening. That's a terrible thing for our country, by the way.
I can't believe that either.
We're going to go to a communistic state. That's so bad for New York, but the rest of the country is revolting against it. But if somebody got elected, they're afraid that if this was taken off, well, we're going to guarantee it's never going to be taken off. And again, we're taking in think of this, hundreds of billions of dollars. And they were all confused because they've never seen this before. You know, it's always the other way. We don't have enough money. So much money is coming in at levels that nobody's ever seen. But most importantly, we have factories being built, car plants being built, companies moving to our country like never before. If you look at 15 trillion, and that's only in a few months. You know, I haven't been here that long.
Yeah, only 6 months he's been in office.
He's the worst president in the history of our country, by the way. What he did on our border can never, ever be forgotten. To me, that's the worst of all the things. And he's done some terrible things. Mostly incompetent. Nobody knew it was him, because I don't think it was him. I think it was whoever was controlling the auto pen. But our country is doing great. And those leaders and other leaders, I just left, as you know, a large group of the most highly respected people. And that includes big countries.
Man, Biden could never do this, man. Never could do this.
France and Spain, although Spain didn't come
Fuck,
through.
man. Finally, a good president, a president that fucking talks to the people.
Tried to hold back on putting up the money. But just so you know, they said, it's unbelievable what's happened to the USA. You were a dead country. We didn't respect.
This one's for Trump.
The leader, you were dead as a doornail. One said to me, "You went from being a dead country, you are right
Mm,
now the hottest country anywhere in the world. The whole world is talking about the USA, and
it's
everybody
so
wants a
good.
product,
It
and they're
smells so good.
pouring into our country, and you're going to see those numbers." Thank
For
you for the
Trump.
question.
Trump.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question about trade. Secretary Bessent has said that he hopes tariff deals with major partners will be done by Labor Day. So if some deals are not done by your July 9th deadline, will some countries' tariffs go back up or will they stay where they
Yeah,
are
well,
now?
there are some countries that are used to ripping us off, to be honest with you. I don't want to name them, but so
Trump is
name
like
them.
Mike dropping
And
it
there's some
today,
just
man.
you know, taking it billions and billions of. Look, we had a trade
I'm
deficit
so
of
lucky to be alive,
more than $1 trillion. Think of a trillion. A
to be
trade deficit.
witnessing this.
That's because nobody cared. We cared a lot when I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariff. We had the greatest economy in history up until now. I think we're going to blow it away. But during my time, and especially prior to COVID, we had the greatest economy in the history of our country. I think we're going to blow it away now based on the kind of numbers that we're seeing. But some countries are very angry because they've been ripping us off for years. They've been making billions and billions of dollars. There was nobody to negotiate with. They could do whatever they want. They charged us tariffs, by the way, at numbers that we've never seen before. And we ended up losing much more than $1 trillion a year. $1 trillion a year to on trade. And now they're being met with a force that's far greater than them, and they don't like it. So they're upset because instead of making, you know, $5 billion, they're going to break even, or they'll make a little bit. I want to be nice. They'll make a little bit, or we'll make a little bit. It's a big difference. Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead. Red dress.
On the 2020 election, is there any more information on the special prosecutor? So many Americans still have questions about the 2020 election. And speaking of rogue judges, would you consider appointing somebody at DOJ maybe to investigate the judges that allowed for the political persecution of you, your family, and your supporters during the Biden administration?
I love you. Who are you?
Laura from Lindell TV.
Well, it's just a very nice question. And it's not a setup. I have no idea who you are, but I appreciate that question. All I can say is we're not here for that. I hope so. I hope they're doing the thing because that election was rigged and stolen, and we can't allow that to happen. You know, a lot of
YouTube, put
people
my
tell me,
fucking videos
"Sir,
back,
you just won the greatest
motherfuckers."
election in the history of our country. You won at numbers that won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything."
YouTube needs to put back my
Sir,
videos. I
go on
should
with your
sue
life.
YouTube, to be
And
honest with you.
many
I
people should say
should
that.
sue
Good
YouTube.
people,
Not only
that's
me,
fine.
but
Then you
a
have
lot
people
of
that
content
say
creators should
that
sue
same thing, go on with
YouTube.
your life, but you have to find out what happened because you can't let that happen again. Look at what this lunatic did. Look at what he did. He opened our borders to people that were murderers, 11,888 to be exact, murderers. And we've captured many of those murderers and we're bringing them back, or some of them are so dangerous that we don't even want to bring them back. We're afraid they're going to try and come back in. But he allowed people to come into this country, people from mental institutions, insane asylums. That's a mental institution on steroids. People from mental institutions, gang members, drug dealers, people, jails being emptied out into our country. Venezuela emptied out almost its entire prison population into our country. But I don't want to blame them. Many countries have done that. The Congo, we have a great press conference coming up later, and it's the Congo and Rwanda. They were fighting for years, and it was machetes. It was vicious. It was as vicious, people's heads being chopped off. And I have a man who's very good in that part of the world, very smart, and put them together. And we're signing a peace treaty today. First time in many years they're going to have peace, and it's a big deal. We talk about Russia, and we're going to work. We're working that one. President Putin called up and he said, "I'd love to help you with Iran." I said, "Do me a favor. I'll handle Iran. Help me with Russia. We got to get that one settled." I think something's going to happen there. But we did
I love Trump,
we
man.
did some
Oh
great
my
work.
god,
India
that
and
is so real.
Pakistan. That was going to be maybe nuclear. We did that. We did a lot of work. I don't know if there's ever been a president that's done much more. Serbia, Kosovo was going to go at it. Going to be a big war. I said, "You go at it. There's no trade with the United States." They said, "Well, maybe we won't go at it." That's what happened with India, and Pakistan. I was negotiating with both of them, and I said to Scott, I said to Howard, cancel all deals with India and Pakistan. They're not trading with us because they're in a war. They called back, what do we do? I said, look, you want to have trade with the United States, it's great. But you want to go and start using nuclear weapons on each other? We're not going to allow that. And they both agreed. Both have great leaders. They both agreed not to do it. So we did a lot. But I appreciate that question.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr.
Orange.
President. Thank you, Mr. President. I was just speaking with Senator Ron Johnson on the One Big Beautiful Bill, and he says he really wants to get to yes for you and get this accomplished.
He does. He's a good man.
But he also said that he needs more time, and he is not certain that the July 4th deadline is
Well, then he's not such a good man.
because there's too much work to
No,
do.
he's a good man. Ron
How
Johnson's
important-
doing a good job. He's very committed. Every Republican senator is committed. And, you know, you could have a couple of grandstanders in all fairness. You could have somebody else. And it's very dangerous because our country would go from being the most successful country in the world to who knows what happens with a 68%. Think of it, 68% tax increase. That was given by the Democrats because they like high taxes. I don't know what happened. You know, all my life, I'd grow up and I'd watch politicians talking. I'd say, oh, that's fun. And they were always saying, we will cut your taxes. We will cut your tax. I never heard it. They say, we will raise your taxes. And they elect people like this guy in New York that maybe has a chance. I find it hard to believe, but he maybe has a chance. They want to raise your taxes. So they want to see a 68% tax increase. That's more money than anybody could afford. You'd go into a depression if that ever happened. So I think there's a lot of pressure to get that approved.
How important is the July 4th deadline to you? If the
It's
default
important. It's not
deadline's
the end
till
all.
August?
It can go longer, but we'd like to get it done by that time if possible. And look, we have a lot of very committed people and they feel very strongly about a subjects that you're not even thinking about that are important to Republicans. The problem we have is that it's a great bill. It's a popular bill, but we'll get no Democrats only because they don't want to vote for Trump. If that bill was their bill, oh, they would be so happy. It's so great for our military. It's great for everything. And they would normally vote, but because their hatred of Trump, they have Trump derangement syndrome at levels never seen before. And instead of voting for a tax cut, they're voting for a tax increase of 68%. They're voting to destroy Social Security, destroy Medicare, and destroy Medicaid. And we're voting to make them perfect and to make them better, make them stronger and better. They're going to destroy Medicaid and they're going to destroy Medicare, and Social Security will follow. If you vote for the Democrats, you're dead on those three things.
Thank you, Mr. President. On a related subject, many Democrats have said that they are not going to support crypto bills in Congress only because of you and your family's personal crypto ventures. And these votes are in some cases needed to pass. Are you open to the idea of pulling away from your personal crypto ventures just for the next few years if that helps get these crypto bills passed in the next few months?
Well, it's a very funny thing, crypto. So I became a fan of crypto, and to me, it's an industry. I view it as an industry, and I'm president. And if we didn't have it, China would, or somebody else would, but most likely China. China would love to. And we've dominated that industry. It's a big industry, by the way. In fact, when the stock market went down recently, crypto and Bitcoin and all of that went down much less than anybody else as a group. And we've created a very powerful industry. And that's much more important than anything that we invest in. We invest in it, but really that was an industry that wasn't doing particularly well. I got involved with it a couple of years ago. And before the second term, I got involved before I decided to run. I only decided to run because I saw what was happening, and Biden was incompetent and the administration was crooked and incompetent. And I was in Bitcoin then, not knowing if I was going to do it a third time. So it's become amazing. I mean, it's the jobs that it produces. And I notice more and more you pay in Bitcoin. I mean, people are saying it takes a lot of pressure off the dollar. And it's a great thing for our country. So I don't care about investing. You know, I have I have kids and they invest in different things. They do believe in it. But I'm president, and what I did do there is build an industry that's very important. And, you know, if we didn't have it, China would. Okay.
Sir, Mr. President,
Go ahead. With the glasses, gentlemen, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. So
are you going to cut funds in the sanctuary states, like for instance California? They keep supporting illegal immigration, and then these people work
Yeah,
under
we're
the
giving them a
table.
hard time.
And also, in a foreign policy
I mean,
question.
they don't have a governor in California. They have a man that wants to give away everything to people that nobody's seen before. If we didn't go into Los Angeles with the military, which did a fantastic job, but if we didn't go into Los Angeles bringing in the National Guard, I would have brought the military if it was necessary because you have to. We have the right to. That was another thing upheld by the Supreme Court. But if we didn't go in with the National Guard and be strong and tough, you wouldn't maybe have Los Angeles. It would be like the rest of California, the rest of Los Angeles. They lost 25,000 houses in a fire. They should have lost none. You know, I sent the water down. I had to break into their water supply because they just refused to do it. They're crazy. There's something wrong with them. They have plenty of water. They don't have droughts or anything. They have we let it come down from the Pacific Northwest. They routed all the water out into the Pacific Ocean for environmental reasons, okay? And now you have 25,000 houses, none of which would have burned down if you had the water. They didn't have water. They didn't have water for the fire pumps. They didn't have water in the sprinkler systems that people put in. So the answer is we're going to work with governors. We're going to work with radical left Democrats and Democrats, and we're going to make it good for everybody. We'll have to stop the crime in those, or in the case of the cities, I think I can say just about all cities with heavy crime are run by Democrats. Go ahead.
11 lies.
Yeah, with the glasses.
I'm with you.
Go ahead. Yes. Yeah. Go. No,
Lies.
no. The man behind you. Yeah, please.
President Trump, Anthony Mashak from Amphibia, Lebanon. I want to ask you regarding the threats posed by Iran's allies and proxies operating in the U.S. They were threatening your life. So what do you say about that? And regarding the Lebanon, because Hezbollah is as well part of Iran's allies, is there any time frame in Lebanon regarding disarming Hezbollah in Lebanon?
Yeah. Lebanon is a great place with brilliant people. You know, it was known for the professors and doctors and had an incredible history. And hopefully we can bring it back again. I just appointed a friend of mine who's Lebanese, and I didn't know he was Lebanese. I've known him for 20 years, very, very successful man. And I just appointed him. And I said, why would you want that? He said, because I was born there. I was raised there. I love it. I love it so much. I said, you know, it's very dangerous going to Lebanon as ambassador. And he said, that's what they say, but I don't care about danger. I mean, this is a guy that is just a very big business guy. He wants to give up his whole life to go to Lebanon because he believes in it so much. We're with Lebanon all the way. We'll try and straighten it out. Threaten my life? Yeah, they have threatened. I get that throbbing feeling every once in a while. Get that throbbing feeling, but
Oh, wow.
that's okay. This is a dangerous business. What I do is a dangerous business. You know,
Trump
I
has
tell the story of
PTSD.
car companies and different people and different professions you have. Race car drivers, as an example, 0.1% die. Bull riders, 0.1%. That's not a lot, but it's people die. When you're president, it's about 5%. If somebody would have told me that, maybe I wouldn't have run. Okay, this is a very dangerous profession. Yeah, please. Should, by the way, so many questions. Should we keep this going, Pam? Or not?
They're like, yes,
This
yes.
is the opposite of Biden.
This is opposite of
Biden would take
Biden.
half a question and he'd leave without answering it.
Oh my
You tell
God.
me when it gets boring. Okay?
Trump, man.
Are you from Iran?
No, I'm not from Iran. I'm from the UK. But if the intelligence reports conclude that Iran can enrich uranium to a level that concerns you,
Yeah.
would you consider bombing the country
Sure.
again?
Without question, absolutely.
Have any
Turned out to be unbelievable. But you know, our incredible flyers and I call them the shots. These guys are unbelievable. Think from 52,000 feet, they hit the equivalent of a refrigerator door. They actually hit it right in the center, so it's much smaller than that. And just bomb after bomb going deeper, deeper, blowing up. Incredible, incredible thing. I don't know if you heard the general. He was very impressive. Raisin Cane. You know, he's the one that beat ISIS for me. And he did it in a matter of weeks. And I was told it was going to take 4 or 5 years. And when I got this job, I always said, if I get this job, I'm going to put that guy as the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. And Dan Kane, and he, when I heard his name was Raisin, his nickname is Raisin Kane. I said, you got to be kidding. So I liked him right from the beginning, but he knocked out ISIS in a time that nobody ever thought possible. And when this attack was completed and so successful, I said, now I know how you knocked out ISIS so quickly. But we have the best people. We have the best equipment in the world. You know, I rebuilt the military during my 4 years, during my other term. We have the best equipment in the world. The problem is we gave away, you know, a lot of it, but small, relatively speaking. We gave a lot of it away to Afghanistan. Shouldn't have happened. That just shows how incompetent they were. They gave all that equipment away, billions and billions of dollars worth. Shouldn't have happened, but that was small compared to what we have. Now we have a great military with great people. Okay. Yeah, please.
Mr. President, congratulations. A couple of very different questions. One is Rwanda, 1994. As you grew up in New York, we all knew how horrific those attacks were. Congratulations on that treaty. There are talks that perhaps
That's going to take place today at 3:00 in the Oval Office. We're going to have a signing with Rwanda and the Congo. So I'm a little out of my league in that one because I didn't know too much about it. I knew one thing: they were going at it for many years and with machetes. It is one of the worst wars that anyone's ever seen. And I just happened to have somebody that was able to get it settled. I mean, just a brilliant person who is very comfortable in that part of the world. It's a very dangerous part of the world. I said, are you uncomfortable there? People are being killed. School children are being raided and killed. And I don't even want to say how, but as viciously as I've ever heard. Are you uncomfortable? No, that's the part of the world that I know. Very comfortable. Was able to get them together and sell it. And not only that, we're getting for the United States a lot of the mineral rights from the Congo as part of it. They're so honored to be here. They never thought they'd be coming to. Look, this is a very tough part of the world. They never thought, they were just telling me, they never thought they'd ever be coming to the White House. And they're so honored. And so we're going to give them a great big reception. But that's after many years of fighting. It's a great thing. That's at 3:00, I believe.
Sir, are you concerned at all about secret nuclear sites in Iran? You talked about maybe just
Secret nuclear site?
Yes, that there might be some of those.
Not
known
really.
earlier.
Can I tell you? They're exhausted. And Israel's exhausted too. And I dealt with both of them. And they both wanted it settled, both of them. And we did a great job, but they're exhausted. The last thing they're thinking about right now is nuclear. You know what they're thinking of? They're thinking about tomorrow, trying to live. It's such a mess. It's such a mess. The place was bombed to hell. And no, I'm not worried about it at all. And I'm putting out a little statement. I'm going to respond to the Ayatollah's statement yesterday that we won the war. Oh, God, we won the war. And I said, look, you're a man of great faith, a man who's highly respected in his country. You have to tell the truth. You got beat to hell. And Israel was beat up too. They were both beat up. And it was a great time to end it. It was quick. They got the hate out. There was a lot of hate. It would be great if they didn't have that hate. But the last thing they're thinking about is nuclear weapons right now. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Iris Howe with NTD Research Media with the Epoch Times. Thank you
Good.
so much for doing this. It's
Sure.
very refreshing for all of us here.
It's a
I
good
believe,
group.
in this room.
It's refreshing.
Very refreshing. Yes.
Mm.
We have
Probably.
this and,
I understand what you mean.
So thank you so much for coming out here.
Other
to
than
talk to us.
Caroline's done a great job.
Yes.
You're referring to the past administration,
Yes,
not to
yes.
Caroline.
Yes. Back to the ruling today, if you don't mind. So you have always talked about winning for the American people.
Right.
How do you think today's ruling will enable you to further deliver for American families and workers across the country, not only when it comes to immigration, but also when it comes to trade, energy? What actions are most eager to move forward?
Well, I
with
think
now?
taking power away from these absolutely crazy radical left judges is a tremendous. This is such a big day. This is such a big day. It's like it's sort of sad because we're doing the signing at 3:00, and this may very well dominate the signing of a big war that was going on and really affecting the continent of. Think of it, the entire continent of Africa was being affected. We're settling that war today, and this will probably be a headline. But this is a very big moment, and it gives power back to people that should have it, including Congress, including the presidency. And it only takes bad power away from judges. It really doesn't take, it takes bad power, sick power, and unfair power. And it's really going to be, this is a very monumental decision. Yeah, please.
Yes, President, thank you very much. On July 9th, is that July 9th date set for tariffs to snap
No.
back? Or could there be a?
We can do whatever we want. We could extend it. We could make it shorter. I'd like to make it shorter. I'd like to just send letters out to everybody. Congratulations, you're paying 25%. He doesn't want, he's a much nicer person than I am. Go ahead, you finish it up?
Considering for the Federal Reserve then, and are you speeding up that process? I see Secretary.
Oh, he's terrible. He's terrible. I mean, I have a list of things. We're like 38 on the list. We pay, Cameroon and different places are paying the same as us. Because, you have somebody sets a rate at 4% or 4.5%. It's hard to go out and say we should be paying 1% when you have your so-called experts doing it. And the sad part is, as per the question that you asked about tariffs, we've had the tariffs and we have less inflation than we had before. What we have is a hell of a lot more money, a hell of a lot more income, and we shouldn't be paying a rate like that. In other words, when we pay a rate, I'll tell you, each point is the equivalent of $300 billion. So if we had it down 3 points, because I think we should be at 1, you have Switzerland is at 0.25. In other words, 25% of 1%. And they're the number 1 right now, but we should be the number 1. And soon you're going to have, I think you're going to have where the people will pay will pay like we had a few years ago, where you put up money, you loan money. And I mean, you actually, instead of paying, you get paid. I love that. I don't know if it's any good, but I love it where you put up money and you get paid. But we should be in a category. So we should be at the top of the list, not toward the bottom of the list. But we have a man who's not a smart man. And he probably has Trump derangement syndrome. And he's just not a smart person. What he's doing, though, he's hurting us for years to come. Because if we borrow money at 2 points higher than we should be paying, that's $600 billion. Wouldn't you say those numbers are about right, Scott? So it's 2 points would be about 600, actually more than that, but about $600 billion, all because the guy doesn't want to lower the rates. He is doing the service, a very disservice. And then he goes up, talks about, I'd like to see costs come down. He gets up and he does his little thing for 5 minutes, and he goes out and he goes back to the beach. He goes, I'd like to see costs come down. Well, he could lower the interest cost by $900 billion a year. All he has to do is lower rates. And everybody's saying, I was watching some of the business shows today, and they're saying, Trump's right. He should really be cutting. The country's doing well. We have no inflation. Now, despite him, we're doing great. But if we got the rates down, we would be a rocket ship. So I think that'll be it. And I just want to thank everybody. This is a really big day. We've had a big week. We've had a big week. We've had a lot of victories this week. NATO was a tremendous victory. The war was a tremendous. Look, we were talking about this for 30 years about Iran being nuclear. And all I said is it will not be nuclear, and it's not going to be nuclear. And, I want to give credit to a lot of people, and most importantly to our great military. Boy, they put out that fire. Once that happened, once those bombs got dropped, that war was over. That war was over. But I just want to compliment them. Incredible. The general and all of his generals. Pete Hegseth was great. They all. And now I want to compliment Pam. A lot of genius went into this. People, if you don't say it exactly right, if the Supreme Court doesn't get it because it's incorrectly spoken about, and that happens. A lot of cases are lost because they don't say the right words. But I want to correct. She's going to go down as a great attorney general. I may change my mind about that. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll have call and say I was only kidding. She's going to go down as a great attorney general. This was a tremendous win, and we've had tremendous wins, but this was a tremendous win today. So I just want to congratulate you and Todd and your whole staff. Very brilliant people. And we can't forget John Sauer, who is with, there's a medical emergency within his family. So he's taking care of that. And we said, absolutely. So I just want to thank everybody very much. Thank you.
Wow, this is awesome, man. and save my voice. I was checking out some stuff on Amazon, and freaking awesome, man. Now let's go to this craziness over here. Where is it? I have it here. I have a whole bunch of little videos for us to watch. I'll be on here for like another hour, possibly. So, give me 1 second while I try to figure this out here. Because I had it set up. I don't know where I did with it now. Let me just check real quick what's going on here. Okay. That's weird. Let me work on this real quick. I hope everyone's having a good day. Here it is. But I had it set up. Why did it? That was weird. Because I had this set up. For some reason, I have like two of the same channels open, which is weird. Huh. Okay. I don't know. But I want to go to this video here. Give me 1 sec so I can set this up for us to watch. And then we'll go over some of the breaking news of the Supreme Court after this one.
Former New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is staying in New York City's mayoral race for now.
Yo, what's up,
News
Albie?
sources confirming to Fox that Cuomo will now be running as an
Yes,
independent.
YouTube gives back
That's in
Ricky's
addition to Mayor
videos,
Eric
you
Adams, who officially
bitches.
announced his bid for re-election yesterday.
Yeah, they need to get back my fucking
We're
video.
going to lift up the city of New York. And so I'm asking you, New Yorkers, to continue to stand with me as we move this city in the right direction.
The two will face progressive upstart Zoran Mamdani, who shocked the political world on Tuesday after winning the Democratic mayoral primary. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness. Speaking of which, that socialist candidate, he is beginning his media tour by openly touting his radical ideology.
You're a proud democratic socialist. Do you think that is a platform that would work for other candidates running in other parts of the country?
Absolutely. I think ultimately this is a campaign about inequality.
So when people say democratic socialist, do you like capitalism?
No, I have many critiques of capitalism. What I'm focused on is making the city affordable for everyone.
Fox News contributor and senior writer for the
Yeah,
Washington
affordable for
Examiner, Joe
everyone. You
Concha,
crazy?
joins me now. Joe, what do you make of the Democrat media's reaction to Mamdani and his primary win so far?
Well, Todd, you may notice that Mamdani's media tour is running to cheerleading outfits like you just showed. MSNBC and CNN. It doesn't include any outlet like, I don't know, the one we're on right now, Fox News, that may dare question him about his patently insane policies in terms of asking a very simple question. Hey, my dude, how are you going to pay for all of this? How are you going to pay for universal free childcare, free busing? How are you going to pay for creating city-run food stores? Because somebody has to build those places and work at them, right? How are you going to pay for government-funded sex changes for minors? And by the way, why should New Yorkers foot the bill for that again? I mean, he says, Todd, he's going to raise the tax. He's going to raise the corporate tax rate by more than 50% when it's already near the highest in the nation. Well, guess what happens if that somehow succeeds in getting passed? Any business, any millionaire, billionaire that hasn't left is going to leave the state. They're going to take all that tax revenue with them. NYPD officers, by the way, who he wants to replace with social workers in high crime areas, they're also going to leave. And that kind of proposal, by the way, is going to get innocent people killed. But no matter, CNN, MSNBC, they're going to do everything they can to get this guy elected because he's the ultimate anti-Trump, anti-capitalist who gives a good soundbite and has some charisma, I guess.
In terms of getting this guy on here, I think you'd agree the showdown we want is Mamdani versus Larry Kudlow. That would be must-see TV, just seeing those two go together. Talk about capitalism. Yes. But before we say all Democrats are on board with this, I think it's important to point out that Mamdani has not received support or endorsements from the big players in New York Democrat politics. I'm looking at Hakeem Jeffries. I'm looking at Chuck Schumer. And I'm also looking at Kirsten Gillibrand, who condemned him on a number of topics. Take a listen.
Well, as a leader of a city as diverse as New York City, with 8 million people, as the largest Jewish population in the country, he should denounce it. And so if you want to be a leader, you have to recognize how these things are felt and received, and saying there should be no word police is irresponsible.
Can he win if he does not get the support of major New York Democrat players like Senator Kirsten Gillibrand?
Wow, Kirsten Gillibrand sounds like that person who talks at the end of commercials, like with the disclaimer. Boy, that was a fast talker.
It was
there.
a little fast.
Yeah, to your to your point, Todd. I think Zoran Mandani is counting on the establishment not endorsing him. In other words, he is supposed to be the rebel here. He may not want, in other words, that's how he ran against Andrew Cuomo, right? As being the so-called outsider who's going to come in here and reform everything. So I think he could win without those endorsements, because establishment Democrats aren't very popular right now. And as long as he could get the extreme left to support him, because there's a lot of energy there, that it's the AOC wing that he wants to have endorse him. And that's exactly what has happened. So, yeah, I think he's counting on the establishment railing against him, because he feels that the energy is coming from the AOC wing of the party, at least when it comes to New York City and getting enough votes to win this election, because he doesn't need 50% if Andrew Cuomo and Eric Adams and Curtis Lee were in the race. He just needs enough in the 30s to win this race. And there may be enough energy on that side to put him over the finish line. God help us.
Yeah, speaking of energy, I'm being told that clip was unfortunately sped up from Kirsten Gillibrand. I was going to tout her fact that she went to Dartmouth and UCLA as evidence that we all really speak really, really fast when we go to those two institutions. But apparently that was an editing situation. We apologize to the junior senator from New York. Meantime, I want to get your thoughts on this. Despite numerous stories of left-wing violence, a recent study found that media outlets have used the term far right over 1,000 times, compared to just 86 mentions of far left since Donald Trump's inauguration. Final thoughts, Joe.
Well, to them, there is no far left, Todd, despite the fact that we saw Tesla dealerships firebombed and shot at by the far left, or that we see these anti-ICE riots like the ones in L.A. and Seattle and Portland orchestrated by the far left, or we continue to see far left anti-Semitism and protests on elite college campuses, chanting "globalize the Intifada" like they're at a Zoran Mandani rally. So those are all figments of our imagination, what we're seeing on our screen right there. To the media, anything even slightly right of center is far right, and it's all an effort to further divide this country instead of simply reporting on the facts and the images that we see on our screen and who is behind them. That's where we are with our media in 2025, Todd. And with that, I wish you a great weekend.
You as well, my friend. Joe Concha, have a great weekend. Thank you, sir.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmer.
Let's see. Let's go back to, I don't know about that mayor shit for New York. I know if that guy wins, I will not go to New York City. I will ban it. And I live right next to New York City. I live about an hour, 20 minutes, depending on the traffic, from New York City. I'm not far from New York City. I'm just a drive away, like an hour and a half drive. Let's come here and let's check out the special report.
This is an ABC News special report.
Good morning. I'm Wade Johnson in New York. We're coming on the air because the Supreme Court has just released a potential landmark decision impacting the future of birthright citizenship in the U.S. The justices were asked to roll back nationwide injunctions against the president's attempt to redefine the 14th Amendment, which states that anyone born in the U.S. is automatically a U.S. citizen, regardless of their parents' citizenship status. It's been in place for more than 150 years. But now, in a 6-3 split, the conservative majority ruled that President Trump can move forward with implementing his birthright citizenship change, except for those who brought the case, the 22 states and a group of pregnant immigrant women who brought that case. So it's not directly getting at the 14th Amendment here, but this will have a nationwide impact. Let's go ahead and bring in our Devin Dwyer, ABC's senior Washington
You need to take that baby back to where it came from.
On this. Devin, it's not as straightforward as I think a lot of people were perhaps expecting or hoping to
that
hear.
rule
So
wasn't
break down
for
what
them.
this actually means.
It was for
Well, this was a big
slaves.
surprise, Whit, and this is coming from the youngest conservative justice on the Supreme Court, Justice Amy Coney Barrett, 6-3, as you said, in a big win for Donald Trump, saying he can move forward with that executive order that he issued on day one, changing the definition of citizenship in this country. Practically speaking, it means the president can, in the next 30 days, begin to develop guidelines for how he would implement that. It does not mean, however, Whit, that this executive order is free from future legal challenge. Legal cases in 3 different districts will continue on the merits. The Supreme Court, in oral argument in this matter, did signal that it was skeptical that it could stand up to legal muster. But at this point, the court is really weighing in on the ability of individual judges in districts around the country to block a president's action nationwide. And what Justice Barrett said today is that an individual federal court judge does not have that authority to broadly block a president. The judge, he or she, can block an individual while a case is being litigated. And in this case, that was upheld. So, this order, as it's implemented, cannot apply to those 22 states. It's going to be messy. It cannot apply to those particular pregnant women that are challenging this. But elsewhere in the country, and at the very least in the planning stages, the president can move forward, and that is a significant and surprising win for him.
It sure is. Devin Dwyer, thank you. Please stand by for a moment, because I think it's worth going back to the language here in the 14th Amendment, again, ratified after the Civil War, which states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. Of course, the Trump administration trying to make changes to that. That's what triggered these series of lawsuits and then ended back at the Supreme Court. Let's bring in our ABC News legal contributor, Sarah Isgur, because Sarah, many are going to be asking now, where does the process go from here in getting back to the root of that question in the 14th Amendment?
Right. This was only about whether the district judge could enjoin the enforcement of that nationwide. What we'll now see is the actual question of what the 14th Amendment means, whether a president acting alone without Congress, without an amendment to the Constitution, can change our understanding of how we've implemented that for the last 150 years. That question will go back to the Supreme Court. Amy Coney Barrett, in her majority opinion, making clear this decision has nothing to do with the merits of that legal question. The Supreme Court can prevent enforcement of that executive order nationwide. I expect we'll hear more about the merits of that question in the fall. As you read it, the real legal question is on what subject to the jurisdiction thereof means. Is someone who is in the country unlawfully subject to the laws of our country, like a diplomat would not be subject to the laws? At the time of the 14th Amendment, someone who belonged on tribal lands was not subject to our laws. So that's the question that the justices will now have to look at in the fall.
Sarah, thank you. I want to go back to Devin Dwyer. Devin, we're getting more on the dissent. Of course, again, as we pointed out, this was a 6-3 majority decision. So what are we hearing from the liberal justices on the court?
This one did break along ideological lines, Whit, and Justice Sonia Sotomayor, we are told, is taking the rare step of reading her dissent aloud in the chamber behind me right now. And she has said in her written opinion that this is a gross mistake by the Supreme Court. In her words, she warns that no right is safe now in this country. She had hypothesized with that if a president in the future, say, a Democratic president, decided to issue an order seizing everyone's guns in this country, in her view, that would be lawful until it was struck down by the Supreme Court, that an injunction by a federal judge would not have effect. So a pretty striking statement by the senior liberal. She says that this is really going to upset the apple cart in a whole bunch of cases right now around the country. And we should point out, Whit, that the implications of this decision are going to be quite significant and take some time to figure out. The court today, in saying that individual judges cannot block a president's policy nationwide, will apply to lots of other cases involving Donald Trump, from some of his immigration policies to some of those freezes on federal funding to mass layoffs at federal agencies. Judges have blocked those things on a universal basis, and some of those orders may now need to be rolled back or eliminated. With.
And as you pointed out, implementing all of this will be really complicated in the coming days. I do want to go to our chief political correspondent, Rachel Scott, who's joining us now from the White House. And Rachel, just for perspective, from the White House here, I want to go to this quote from Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. This was back in February when she was explaining this. She said the administration believes that birthright citizenship is unconstitutional. So that's really at the heart of all of this.
It is at the heart of all of this, and this is something that the president campaigned on. It was once considered this sort of fringe theory years ago. It's something that President Donald Trump campaigned on and that the Republican Party has embraced. We have not heard directly yet from the administration or from the president himself on this, but I could tell you I can imagine they're going to be very satisfied by what they are hearing in this news from the Supreme Court, because for them, this is, of course, much broader than just this issue of birthright citizenship. This administration and the president's top officials have long argued that these district court judges have too much power, that they should not be allowed to block things that the president campaigned on, that they believe the American people elected him to do and to carry out. And birthright citizenship is one of those things. But also, as Devin did mention there are a series of other things that have been challenged and blocked by some of these lower court judges when it comes to the president's other immigration policies, even some of these freezes that we have seen within the federal government. And so the question now, and what this administration will be looking at, is how broad can this go potentially? Does that mean that some of those other issues will now have to be rolled back? But when we're talking about on the constitutionality of birthright citizenship, we know that is something that, of course, will continue to come up and could very well find itself in front of the Supreme Court again. And while the administration feels firm about this, as you just read from the press secretary right there, they do feel good about their legal standing on the issue of the constitutionality of birthright citizenship. You did hear from some of the conservative justices on the bench during these oral arguments, including Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who was skeptical of just how exactly that could go into effect, raising some concerns about it. But again, this was not necessarily on the merits of that issue, at least for now, Whit.
Yeah, that's the thing. The long-term path, still a lot of questions and unknown. Rachel Scott for us, thank you. I want to bring in ABC's Maria Villarreal, joining us now from Dallas. Maria, I know you've been speaking with immigration attorneys and advocates. This is going to leave a lot of families in limbo.
You know, Whit, at this point, immigration attorneys are saying, listen, this feels like we are splitting the baby. And obviously, we're talking about the merits of, universal injunctions, not necessarily the merits of the case when it comes to birthright citizenship. That being said, most people out there don't really understand the difference between these two. And so this could create a lot of fear in immigrant communities. And that's what they're most concerned about, is the ripple effect, the potential here, because no doubt the administration is going to see this as a win for them. It's going to push them to move forward, not just on immigration, but other big issues as well. And really, try to get to the community and saying, listen, this is a win for us and a loss for you guys. So you might as well just go ahead and fall in line. Nonprofit organizations right now are trying to get the word out, trying to educate people in these immigrant communities that this is not an absolute loss for them, especially when it has to do with birthright citizenship. But their big concern is if communities feel like this is a loss, we might see more protesting. We might see more issues within these communities because it is creating fear.
Maria Villarreal for us and our entire team, thank you. Once again, in a 6-3 split decision, the conservative majority ruling that President Trump can move forward in implementing his birthright citizenship change. However, questions still remain about the 14th Amendment and what that could mean in terms of the constitutionality going forward. So we will wait to see how that plays out. This is the final day of the Supreme Court's term, and there will be more decisions coming out later today. We will bring them all to you as our coverage continues on ABC News Live, abcnews.com, and then I'll be back with
This is a big deal. I don't know if you guys realize, but it's a really, really big deal. Let's catch over here with some Fox News.
And Andy, let me just interrupt you for a moment here, because in my ear, the producer is saying that the birthright citizenship case is the first one. We do not know the result, yes, but that is coming. Shannon is looking at it now, Andy.
Yeah, I have to make one overarching observation about this, Dana. When we were here last year doing all this, it felt much more consequential. Not to say that Supreme Court cases are anything other than consequential, but last year we had these cases that were on which the balance of the 2024 election seemed to rise and fall. And I'm kind of thankful to be back in an environment where the Supreme Court is doing what the Supreme Court does, and it doesn't feel like the democracy itself hinges on it.
And Jonathan, as we stand by and wait for Shannon Bream to update us on what the decision was, the way I understand it is SCOTUS isn't necessarily ruling on the constitutionality of birthright citizenship, the 14th Amendment. They're going to be ruling on the ability for these lower district judges to issue these nationwide injunctions. So depending on what we hear today, we're still going to have question marks about birthright citizenship. Is that right?
That's right. And with the national injunctions or universal injunctions issue, the justices obviously were concerned. They have previously expressed their discontent with district courts issuing these orders. So there does seem to be a majority saying that this exceeded authority. The question is, how will they thread this needle? How will they limit the district courts?
Jonathan, let me just interrupt you. I'm sorry for the interruption, but Shannon has some information for us. Let's go to you, Shannon Bream. You're there with that case.
Okay, yes. So this is at least a partial, if not a full, and we're reading this because there are several concurrences here, but it's written by Justice Barrett, which goes against the ruling that I just gave the guidance because she's one of the least junior justices, but she was assigned to write this opinion. And essentially what she says, some say that the universal injunctions give the judiciary a powerful tool to check the executive branch, but she says federal courts do not exercise general oversight of the executive branch. They resolve cases and controversies consistent with the authority Congress has given to them. When a court concludes the executive branch has acted unlawfully, the answer is not for the court to exceed its power, sounding very much like they are limiting these injunctions. We know here that they have granted at least partially the stay to these preliminary injunctions, but they say only to the extent that the injunctions are broader than necessary to provide complete relief to each plaintiff with standing to sue. They say the lower courts have to move expeditiously with respect to each of these plaintiffs. It says the injunctions are also stayed to the extent that they prohibit executive agencies from developing and issuing public guidance about the executive plans to implement the executive order. If you remember, part of this executive order on birthright citizenship, the stay was that the agencies that would be responsible for actually implementing the change with birthright citizenship, those agencies couldn't even start making a plan. So that part of it is lifted as well. We do see that the dissent here comes from the three justices you expect. It looks like Justice Sotomayor filed the dissent. Kagan and Jackson joined that. Justice Jackson also filed a dissenting opinion, but there are a lot of concurrences here. Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, there are others. So we'll parse through this, but at its first blush, it looks like this is a win and putting a limit on these nationwide injunctions. We'll see how far those limits go as we dig back through this.
Got it. Want to bring Jonathan Turley back in. Shannon, thank you. So Jonathan, it sounds like this is kind of what you were mentioning earlier, 6-3 decision granting a partial stay on these nationwide injunctions unless there's a broader impact. Kind of decipher that for us.
Well, I've only started to read the opinion, but what I've seen does look like a victory for the Trump administration. Justice Barrett is saying that the only way for justices to exercise this type of universal injunction in some of these cases is equitable relief. But she does not find evidence that that type of relief was granted to these judges. So they indicate that the administration is likely to prevail on this issue. All of that is going to be awfully good news for this administration. They have been really hit with these sort of Lilliputian attacks. There are all these individual district judges effectively freezing federal policy and programs across the country. So it does appear to be a victory. It may be a bit more nuanced, but so far it looks like a good day for the Trump administration.
Andy, a question for you. Again, here are my dumb questions. This is not on the merits of birthright citizenship then, it looks like, but am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. I think we never get to the merits because of the injunction issue. And it seemed to me that what made this case very interesting to people at the beginning was the birthright citizenship question and the very important question of whether that's compelled by the 14th Amendment or not. As the case was litigated, it really became this other thing, which was about these nationwide injunctions, which for the reasons that Jonathan just mentioned are the thing that has plagued the Trump administration across the board in its second term.
Andy, Jonathan, stand by. I want to bring in Shannon Bream once again. Shannon, I understand you're getting more details on the dissent in this case. Fill us in.
Yeah. I always think it's helpful to turn there because you can get a sense of exactly what they're pushing back against with all these different concurrences. And what they said is, because remember, again, this comes to us in the vehicle of the birthright citizenship case. And the questions at oral arguments were, okay, what if district judges decide differently and they aren't able to give an order for the entire country? Would a child be born in New Mexico have a different right than one in New Jersey, depending on how those judges have ruled in different places? Justice Sotomayor, writing for the dissent, says the parents of children covered by what she's calling the citizenship order would be well advised to file promptly class action suits and to request temporary injunctive relief for the class pending class certification. And so she's saying, listen, if you're one of these parents who are worried about what's going to happen with the citizenship of your child, you should be out there filing so that there will not be this patchwork, that every district will have an opportunity to weigh in. But she also says, get these cases moving quickly. She says lower courts would be advised to act swiftly on these requests for relief and to adjudicate the cases as quickly as they can so as to enable this court's prompt review, saying we have not decided that birthright citizenship question. We want the lower courts to act quickly so there's not this patchwork, so it gets back here and they actually answer the question on substance. She goes on to say this: today, the court abdicates its vital role in these efforts, saying with the stroke of a pen, the president has, quote, made a solemn mockery of our Constitution. She said, pointing at the president, and then she goes on to blame the court. Rather than stand firm, this court gives way. So clearly the dissent not in line with what has been decided by the majority of this court. Again, we'll continue to read through those concurrences as well.
Andy, here's a little bit from what Justice Amy Coney Barrett wrote in the majority part. She said that federal courts do not exercise general oversight of the executive branch. They resolve cases and controversies consistent with the authority Congress has given them. And then this is a sentence I really noted. She said, when a court concludes that the executive branch has acted unlawfully, the answer is not for the court to exceed its power to. And that might just be where this all came down to, Andy.
Well, yeah, of course. What they're saying is that this practice of nationwide injunctions, which we went almost 200 years of American history without having a single one, involves a court not only making a decision that binds the parties before it, but making a decision for the whole nation under circumstances where the court is the non-political branch that doesn't answer to the people whose lives are affected by these rulings. And I think it's interesting what Shannon just told us about Justice Sotomayor's suggestion that you go to class actions. That would even that, I think, would be a victory for the Trump administration in the sense that class actions are much more rigorous and much more regulated than the idea of these district judges in a completely untethered way, just making rulings that apply to the whole country.
I'm Steve Doocy. I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News.
Very interesting. Damn guy started cutting the grass here, so I was making so much noise, so I put it on mute. Let's check out this story here.
And welcome back to Live Now from Fox as we continue to follow this breaking news, this Supreme Court decision just coming in moments ago, limiting judges' use of nationwide injunctions. This is all pertaining to this birthright citizenship case from President Trump. And I did want to share with you some of the reaction that is coming in here. We shared this with you just moments ago from Attorney General Pam Bondi. She says today the Supreme Court instructed district courts to stop the endless barrage of nationwide injunctions against President Trump. This would not have been possible without tireless work from our excellent lawyers at the Justice Department. We also are getting in another reaction here. And I'm not going to read this to you in full, but this is a statement from Attorney General Matthew Platkin on the Supreme Court decision. He says, although we disagree with the Supreme Court's decision today, we are glad the court recognized that nationwide orders can be appropriate to protect the plaintiffs themselves from harm, which is true and has always been true in our case. We welcome the opportunity to continue making our case before the district court, particularly because the executive order will not take immediate effect to show that the president's approach to birthright citizenship is a recipe for chaos on the ground and harm to the states. I do want to bring in Ken Gray from the University of New Haven to join us live to break this all down. Ken, thank you for being here on such short notice. And I think there's just a lot of questions as to what this means. It seems like a partial victory was handed to President Trump, but we still don't really know the future of all of this, right?
That's absolutely right. So this is not a decision by the Supreme Court on birthright citizenship. Instead, what this is it's a slapdown of federal judges to stop them from issuing these large-scale injunctions where they are challenging the president's executive orders abilities. And so what they ruled is that they've decided that in this case, the federal court likely exceeded the equitable authority that Congress has given to the federal courts. The federal courts don't exercise general oversight of the executive branch. They resolve cases and controversies consistent with the authority Congress has given them. This is according to Justice Amy Coney Barrett. She wrote that when a court concludes that the executive branch has acted unlawfully, the answer is not for the court to exceed its power too. So this is saying that this matter should work its way through the court system to have an overall decision on birthright. But to file an injunction that is general across the country is not within the power of the federal court for just the federal court. That's something that is at a much higher level.
Yeah, and as we take a live look at the Supreme Court, I think another really big key piece of this is people have been discussing the 14th Amendment citizenship clause. Now, for our viewers who may not be familiar with that, it was the Supreme Court decision from 1898, the United States versus Wong Kim Ark, and the court held that the only children who did not automatically receive U.S. citizenship upon being born in the U.S. had to meet some certain requirements here. When it comes to the 14th Amendment and the future of all of this, how do you anticipate that playing a role in the future of how this plays out?
So the 14th Amendment was originally passed to ensure the citizenship of former slaves here in the country. And so what the 14th Amendment says is that all people that are born or naturalized in the United States are citizens of the United States. But they have to be under the subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And so in the case that you mentioned, the decision there was the fact that this person had been a citizen of the United States, left the country, and then was coming back into the country and was being denied citizenship. And the Supreme Court said he met the condition for the 14th Amendment. The president's executive order that got rid of citizenship birthright is referring to people who are not citizens coming into the country, having children here, and they're not subject to the jurisdiction. So we will see how the Supreme Court rules on that when it reaches the Supreme Court. But for a federal judge to say, we're going to overrule the president's executive order, that's beyond their power.
And again, so many questions with this, but as it comes to current immigration law, what can we see going forward here for people who may want to further challenge this as we do, again, it's still unknown here what the future of this is, Ken.
So that's exactly right. It is unknown how it will affect it, but if a judge is ruling on how it affects an individual, one person, that's within their scope. But if they are trying to issue a nationwide injunction, that's beyond their scope. That's what the Supreme Court ruling is only ruling on today. But we've seen a number of different cases here in the recent months where federal judges have issued nationwide injunctions challenging the president's ability to issue executive orders. The Supreme Court has slapped that down with this ruling.
Ken, anything else you want to note about this that I haven't touched on so far? Because you are a wealth of information when it comes to all of this.
Yeah. Again, this is not a ruling on birthright citizenship.
Right.
That is working its way through the courts. And this does not address that. What this addresses is the federal court's ability to issue nationwide injunctions.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us were waiting and watching to see here whether the Supreme Court would fully side with President Trump or not. And this was sort of a surprise to us here.
Yes.
Wow.
All right, Ken Gray, thank you so much for joining us here on Live Now.
Of the great state of Louisiana now. Chad, thank you for the report. And Senator, what does this weekend really entail? Maybe one or two sticking points that you think you can iron out.
Well, here's where I think we are, Harris. Look, I believe in teamwork. It gives you somebody to blame. But at some point, you've got to make a decision. Now, our quarterbacks are John Thune and Mike Crapo. They're both rock stars. They're trying to make everybody happy. It can't be done. We have cussed and discussed and rediscussed. We need to start voting. Everybody needs to adult real hard, and the jackassery has to stop. I have encouraged John and Mike to tell everyone, look, we're going to start voting tomorrow at noon. If you're not happy, offer an amendment. We'll have a full amendment process. But here's the bottom line. In any legislation of this magnitude, some people are just going to have to settle for a ham and egg sandwich without the ham. That's just the nature of the beast.
Damn.
And I think that if you put everybody to the test and say, look, this is why God made votes, it's time, vote, I think the bill will pass.
All right. So you gave us key information about that vote tomorrow. And then if that doesn't pass in the Senate, then you'll go back and you'll make some amendments. This is something that I've been talking with Republican House members about, particularly Mike Lawler here in New York City, who wants a SALT deduction cap to be raised. And it's become, I understand, a point of contention getting this bill across the finish line and onto the president's desk. I talked with Lawler last week on The Focus. Here's a bit of that.
The $10,000 cap is not something that I can support. And I've been very clear from the moment that I ran for Congress that I would never support a tax bill that doesn't adequately lift the cap on SALT.
Senator, where are you on this one? Because if it goes back to the House, Congressman Lawler told me, I mean, you need 218. He won't be part of that. So they'll fall short in the House.
Well, I love Congressman Lawler. I respect Congressman Lawler. But he and about 4 of his colleagues are demanding that the American people spend over $300 billion, not million, $300 billion to make them happy. And that is unacceptable. If the congressman wants to vote against the bill, have at it. But it's time to vote. I think I wouldn't make any changes to the SALT provisions. I wouldn't. And if you're unhappy with that, vote against it or fill out a hurt feelings report. But it's time to vote.
Those state and local taxes that states, there are only 5 of them. 5 members, I should say, who represent in those blue states who are pushing for this.
That is funny.
It's they want us to spend over $300 billion to make them happy. And they say they'll vote no if we don't. I say, let's don't do it. And if they want to vote for the largest tax increase in American history, they've got to do what they've got to do, but they better be prepared for the consequences.
Well, you have a long weekend ahead of you, and the goal for Monday, we will be covering every second of it with that first vote you just told us about, noon tomorrow, noon on Saturday.
No,
Senator,
I'm not saying that we definitely will. I'm saying I've asked John and Mike to set a deadline of noon tomorrow, and I hope they will take my advice.
Got it. Okay. Senator, and thank you for clearing
snappy.
that. Senator, I want to ask you about the U.S. Supreme Court decision. It's big. It just happened moments ago. The court ruled to limit the use of a nationwide injunction that temporarily blocked President Trump's executive order ending birthright citizenship. It sets the stage for more action on all of those nationwide injunctions against the president's agenda so far. So this is bigger implications than just that one topic of birthright citizenship. Your reaction to this?
The Supreme Court has turned the universal injunctions into fish food, as well it should have. There's no basis in statute. There's no basis in Supreme Court precedent. There's no basis in English common law for universal injunctions. Judges who just dislike what Congress and any president has done, just made them up. And good riddance. I'm proud of the Supreme Court. It's a very extensive ruling. You can tell it from Justice Jackson's dissent. She's mad as a bag of cats, and that's probably a good thing for the American people.
Look, we're expecting to hear from the president just moments from now at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, and he's already put on his Truth Social, and we can share that again if my team puts it up, that this is a victory. He says that the United States Supreme Court, even the birthright citizenship hoax, has been indirectly hit hard. It had to do with the babies of slaves, same year, not the scamming of our immigration process. Congratulations to Attorney General Pam Bondi, Solicitor General John Sauer, and the entire DOJ. News conference at the White House, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. What are you expecting, and what would you like to hear from the president?
This came out before
the Supreme Court did not rule on birthright citizenship. The Supreme Court ruled on universal injunctions. As I said, they turned universal injunctions into fish food. They should have. We have three equal branches of government. One of those is the judicial system. They're equal. They're not superior. They don't get to rewrite congressional actions or presidential actions every other Thursday because they don't agree with them. That's just not the way our founders intended it, and I'm proud of the Supreme Court today.
Look, let me ask you about those judges across the country and how it would seem, and they would have to defend against this because it certainly appears in many instances that this is continuing to be lawfare against the current president. And it's not supposed to be that way. I mean, the scales of justice are not supposed to tip politically one way or the other. Why do you think we're seeing what we're seeing against Trump?
Well, both sides have abused it. And by it, I mean universal injunctions. The Democrats more than the Republicans, but both sides have abused it. And it's illegal. There's no basis for it in law. And I've just been waiting for the Supreme Court to do this. I mean, anybody who knows a law book from an LL Bean catalog knows that federal judges just made up this concept of universal injunctions. There's no basis in statute, no basis in Supreme Court precedent. There's no basis in English common law. They just made it up because they don't agree with what a president or Congress has done. You know, if they disagree, I'm sorry. Fill out a hurt feelings report, buy a comfort rock. But they can't just say, I disagree and I'm putting the entire action by another branch of government on hold because I don't like it. And that's what they've been doing. And they're not the superior branch of government. They're an equal branch of government.
They're also subverting the power and the will of the people, which is a complicated matter with a president who won the popular vote and all of the battleground states just last November. I mean, America made a decision. And I don't believe, and you sit on the Judiciary Committee, I don't believe that anyone has the right to take that apart.
Well, look, Congress makes mistakes. Presidents make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with a federal judge saying, I think you got this one wrong. But the federal judge can do that and render a judgment on the parties in his or her court. That federal judge can't do it for the entire nation.
Right.
And that's what they've been doing. They've been acting like politicians in robes, like many legislators. And the Constitution does not give them that power.
Before I let you go, in terms of the president's agenda, his vision, I know we talked already about the big, beautiful bill, but there are things that he's trying to do right now to answer the call that was put out there by all of the illegal immigration that flowed unvetted, those aliens into this country, all during ex-President Biden's term. He's trying to do things not only to cull that, but also to set into place that you send the worst back first. Will this help that course?
Yes. Yes. And look, in 100+ days, President Trump has secured the border. Now we're trying to figure out what criminals, what drug dealers, what human traffickers President Biden and my Democratic friends who believe in open borders let into our country. And we're trying to get them out. Now, that takes more money. That's why we're going to pass this reconciliation bill. But I consider it one of the president's biggest accomplishments. The other thing that's coming down the pike, the president has sent us what's called a rescission package, Harris.
Okay.
$9.7 billion of spending porn that Congress has previously passed that he's asking us to throw out. We need to pass that. That includes money for public television. I don't hate public television. I just don't think the American taxpayer ought to subsidize any form of the media, not Fox, not CNN, not the New York Times, and not the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. I don't think that's how taxpayers want their dollars spent, and Congress needs to pass that too. The House already has. Now, the Senate has got to take it up next, and shame on us if we don't pass the president's request.
That's a lot of money, 9.7 billion in, as you called it, spending porn. All those things that you say, yeah, we can cut on that. And that's also in the pipeline here. I appreciate so much your time. We're leading up with this breaking news, Senator, and it is always wonderful to have you in focus and get your perspective.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-host, Harris.
It's wild. It's been a wild day today. I mean, it's a crazy day. It's for not crazy, but it's a lot of movement, a lot of things being like confirmed, and like what the I'm still surprised with the Supreme Court, because they gave Trump this way of saying, listen, if you came here pregnant from another country and you gave birth to a kid here, like, that doesn't make you automatically that baby a citizen. Like, that was not what, like, when they wrote that in, it wasn't for that. It was for the slaves that gave birth here, and that they had brought from Africa and brought from all around the Caribbean. It's not just blacks, because there was a lot of even white slaves, but they try to make it racial. Everything has to be racial. Hey, Wu-Tang, how you doing? I've been here, girl, for almost 2 hours. You know me. I think my minimums are 2 hours when I do my shows, but that's what it is. And at the same time, I was doing looking at some stuff, because Prime is coming. Prime Day's coming, and I wanted to get some stuff for my niece, like a little care package for her. I tend to do that. I'm a good uncle. So I sent her a care package. But her care package is not cheap. It's not cheap. I think the minimum, that 2, right? That 2. I have a lot of 2s in me. You know what I mean? I'm a master number 22, and it's 2 people watching. and I spend usually like $200 on her. But I get her whole care package that includes like socks, underwears, bubble bath, and um, jumbo colored pencils, and her first pencil, because she's starting to learn how to write. She's only 3 years old. Actually, she's three. Yeah, she's 3 or 4 years old. I kind of like forgot now. I have a brain fart. No, she was born in 2021, so she's 4. She's 4. She just turned 4. So she's growing up, so I want her to learn how to write and do all this stuff because I'm really educating this little girl from a distance. This is how good I am as an uncle, because I don't even talk to my sister about this. Like, I use my gifts that I have inside of energy and how I feel things, and then like I can feel the energy over there, and I know without even asking my sister what to get my niece. I just get it, and then I just send it to her. And my niece loves, like, she sees the packages, she's like, "Merry Christmas!" Like, yes, it's so cute. She's like, she either Merry Christmas or Happy Birthday. There's like those are the two, but it's usually Merry Christmas because like in Christmas I send her a lot of stuff for Christmas, and now it's just like a care package. It's like a middle of the year care package. So like I said, like brand new socks, nice socks, bubble baths, the underwears, jumbo colored pencils, and first pencils, and 2 dresses, 2 gowns. They're like the Disney fantasy princess nightgowns. Sent 2 of those. 2 packs of retractable markers, Crayola Clicks retractable markers, and I sent 2 packages because each package is different. To have a lot of colors, so it's a total of 20 colors that she's gonna have, and then coloring books. Of course, you have to entertain them, right? Coloring books. It's a little girl. She's 4 years old. That's my niece. So I got her a princess coloring books, and also I ordered a box set. It's an Ultimate Princess box set of 12, like, it's little golden books. It's like little stories and stuff, Disney like princesses stories. It has like a whole bunch, 12 books inside of it, and that's a little care package. Man, I wish I had someone send me. I wish I had an uncle that fucking sent me something. Motherfuckers, none of them send me shit. I remember. So this is something that you etch in their memories, because like I send this care package. At her age, she's always gonna remember this, because it's like, holy shit, this is awesome. This is like really cool. Like, it's the summer, hello, and summertime. You want to do things new and do fun stuff and have new things. And I didn't really get that much of an opportunity like that, but I would have loved to have someone to like bombard me with fucking cool stuff so I could be entertained. Hell yeah, especially for my uncle, even better. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm trying to rewrite like the history of what I didn't go through. I want her to go through and have that sensation of feeling happiness and joy. And it's like, it's a great feeling. So it helps my sister too, because it's like, it's a lot. It's a $200 is a lot of money for people, and my sister, she busts her ass working and everything, but every little thing helps, and especially with my niece, of course. But the bubble baths is very important. I always get her It's the Mr. Bubbles. I used to use that when I was little. I used to love Mr. Bubbles. That was my shit when I was growing up. And it was like that powder box one, that old school one that was like in a powder box, and then you'll open it and then you pour it out into the water. And my mom used to prepare the water and stuff for me. And I remember all this stuff, man. I remember my sister even got me a box of Mr. Bubbles. I have it in the room. I still have it there that she gave me a long, long time ago. I should take a picture of it and send it to her. She'll freak out. She's like, "Oh my god, I remember I sent that to you." Yeah, I still have it there. But I love Mr. Bubbles. I'm sorry. Who as a kid did not like Mr. Bubbles? I don't understand. I don't understand, you know. But I always send her the height it's a tier free it's a hyperlogic one that is like it's for sensitive, like for gentle. It's like a gentle bubble bath, because some of these bubble baths, they have like extreme fucking chemicals in it. And you don't just want to put any fucking chemicals in your child. So I got the most gentlest one, and yeah, that's the good uncle in me. But it's like I feel like I want to send one more thing, so I haven't processed the order yet. I have everything in my Amazon list, and I feel like I'm missing one other thing. For some reason, I feel like I'm missing something. But I gotta go through some stuff here and see what am I missing. She loves My Little Pony. She really loves the My Little Pony. My sister used to love My Little Pony growing up. I remember her ass. Oh my gosh, she drove me crazy with My Little Pony, because I had to watch it with her in the morning, and you had to hear My Little Pony, My Little Pony. I'm like, oh my fucking god. And those we were young, and we had to share the time, with the television, and they would go back and forth like boy girl shows, and when My Little Pony came out, my sister wanted me to watch it with her, and I'm like, fucking pony shit, man. But my sister had the toys, and I remember her brushing the hair of the ponies, and she would play with the ponies. Well, her daughter is doing the same thing too, so it's so cool. But this one here, she's gonna have every opportunity. Like, I ain't slacking with this one. Like, my niece, she doesn't know. If I live a little long than expected, oh, she got something coming. No, she's gonna be very successful. I want her to be successful. Like, I'll make sure, I'll even put it in my will that she has to be successful. She needs to go to college. She needs to be well educated. I want her to be someone of importance. Like, hell yeah. Yeah, I want her to have fun. I want her to, be herself, but I want her to be educated, and I want her to not worry as much. She will have a safety net. She will definitely have a safety net. And that's it. That's all I could pass on, is a safety net that she'll be secured. And yeah, and she'll live out a good life, a happy life. And then she'll probably produce a couple of offsprings. Little mini me's could be, down the generational tree, life goes on, people down the line, she'll end up getting pregnant and having multiple kids. And that's how the bloodline continues. Oh shit, Mutang, you wrote a lot of stuff. Hold on. I gotta go back. Oh no, I'm sorry. I was looking at another screen, but now I came back here. I'm like, oh shit, you guys. um, yeah, Melody girl loves to draw, and ever since she was little, I've always supported her. Yeah, talents. Yeah, I try to support my niece's talents, man, and try to like always have her like having new stuff to feel comfortable, and that she has someone that cares about her and is actually looking after her. Not like her father. Her father, like my sister and the baby's daddy's not together, so that's already a broken home. So the father's a piece of shit. Like energy wise, I think he's a sleazeball. Like I don't really I don't know the guy. I never met him ever, so I don't know who the fuck he is. But I tell you right now, he won't like me so much. But my niece has nothing to do with that. So I fill in as a substitute and I help out. So that's where I've been redirecting my funds. It's like to help the little one. Like her, the little one. She is the little one. That she's the one and she's little. The little one. Yeah, it's not. It's expensive having a kid these days. It's very expensive. Graphic design. I used to like graphic design. It was pretty cool class, man. I used to do it a lot, and high school. I was really advanced. I was advanced in high school. Like I had like advanced. My electives were advanced. It was fun though. I had a lot of fun. Dutch treats. You better give it to me in person when I go over there, because I'm thinking about if we do a trip. I think I might fly into the Netherlands because I could get a nonstop flight from New York. I believe New York City, JFK. I believe I could get a nonstop to the Netherlands. So, but I want to see if they have any nonstop by my airport here, um, in Hartford, Connecticut, and I want to see if Bradley International has any, nonstops going to Netherlands. I hope they do. I really do. If they do, I'll be so happy. I gotta check. But if they don't, there's only two others. I hate New York, so I won't fly out of New York. I will not. I will not. I blame Letitia James. I blame the government. I blame like the instability and the unsafeness there is not good right now. I would not want to go there. The city, hell no. Hell to the no. I'd rather go to the upstate. I'd rather go to like the waterfalls and go to like Watkins Glen and go to like Niagara Falls. I love Niagara Falls. Like that's my favorite spot. That's like I want to go back. So I'll be going back there. It's like a migration for me. It's like when I go there, it's like that energy from the Niagara Falls is so powerful and like you feel rejuvenated. Like it's really cool. I love it. I love it. And I'll show you guys because I'll come on live and you'll be like, what the fuck? And you're like, he's there. He's there. He's there. It's gonna be a surprise when I do it. So nobody will you won't know when you see it, you'll be like, oh shit, he's a man of his word. He says he's gonna do something, he does it. That's true. And I would like to go to the Netherlands. I mean, not just because of the medicine, because of the medicine. Amsterdam, here I come. Yeah, because of the medicine and the sightseeing. Because I would like to sightsee and see what you know What's up with the Netherlands? Hey, Trump went there. If Trump went there, I could go there. You know what I mean? And that's awesome. You guys treated Trump really good, so I'm definitely gonna see if I could. Maybe not this year, but next year, um, make it out to the Netherlands. That's gonna be so cool. But I got to see what's the currency and all that shit because I'm gonna use one of my credit cards anyways. That's an international card, so I'm not worried about that. But like cash wise too, because I don't know the currency there. I don't know what they like. Moonsen's gonna have to educate me before I go. She's gonna give me like run the course. Okay, this is how it is. Oh, bathrobe. Yeah, I got her a bathrobe the last time. I bought her a purple unicorn bathrobe that covers the head also. And it's like the unicorn. It was a big one. That was the last package I sent her. So yeah, that was a good one. But I always say socks and underwears are always like, it feels good to have new underwear even as a grown up. Even as a grown up, like I go to Marshalls or I go to Burlington Coat Factory, and they have like the underwears on sale and stuff, and good price for like a pack of 5 or a pack of 6 underwears for like $10. Like not bad, and they're good branded underwears too. So it's like, sometimes you get it for like $8.99 or $9.99, depending on what. But the one that I usually get from there is like $10 for a whole pack. Like sometimes they give you 7, like for a whole week, underwear for $10. Get a couple of them. But I know when I was a kid, I didn't get shit from my uncles and the only person. Wait, lies. I got from one person, my uncle James, that he gave me $20. That's all I remember. He gave me $20, and he was telling me spend it wisely. They ended up buying a lot of like candies and other stuff, like the ice cream truck. But feeding the algorithm, yeah, gotta help out. That's how people start watching is, when the algorithm starts getting activated and people look at what's happening, and then they come in and they listen, and then they decide if they want to stay or not. I don't hold anybody. I don't give anybody any anchors, and they have to like stay put. You got a life to live. You got things to do. Paris, yeah, but Paris is like, I don't know about Paris, like because they have issues over there. They got issues. I feel the energy. I know they got issues. You'll love the vibe, and from here you can easily see other amazing places in Europe. Yeah, I definitely want to do Netherlands. Like if I'm there, I'm doing Netherlands, but I'm not. If I'm gonna do a trip like this, it's gonna be like I'm going to the Netherlands for like maybe like 3 days. I'll be in the Netherlands probably through maybe 3 or 4 days. I think 3 days is probably 3 days. Is back out. That I'll end up go there because I would like to go to Iceland. I still want to go to Iceland. I still want to go to the hot springs there, and I hope the volcanoes don't destroy the hot springs out there. But I definitely would like to go there for my body. It's gonna be like it's not only for like vacation, for like entertainment or venturing, but it's also for rejuvenation and to rejuvenate myself with the natural springs, especially up in in Iceland. I mean, I would have to stay like a day or two there. I may stay like maybe 3 days just because I want to go multiple times to the thermal pool. Like I think the more I put my body through the thermal pool, the better I can heal myself because it really will feel so good on my bones, and even the metal in my spine is it'll feel so much better. And I love hot tubs. For some reason, it's like something that like my body always craves because when I go into the hot tub and I have all the jet water going through my body, and it's kind of like a massage. You feel good. Like my body wise, I feel great, and I feel so exhausted and feel good. Then I take a shower and I'll go to sleep, and I sleep much better. And I always look for hotels that have hot tubs. I don't stay in hotels that don't have hot tubs. Like hot tubs, no, it has to have a hot tub because I like to jump in and get my body like nice and toasted with the hot jetted waters. It's like, oh, but I hate when they have too much chlorine. That's the only thing I don't like because I'm very sensitive to chlorine, especially my eyes because it burns my eyes. I don't know if it burns other people's eyes, but for me it does. And but I still get in like the hot tub. So even when I go to the Netherlands, I make sure I get a hotel with a hot tub. Oh man, yeah, because it really helps the body. It really does. I wish I had a hot tub here, but like, no, I don't have one. But I always stay at hotels they do have. But Barcelona, Milan, and Amsterdam. Amsterdam is it's like I just want to go there to smoke. Amazing art and culture too. Yeah, that's what I want. I want to go there and I want to have like I want to go to the Netherlands, have a fucking smoke at a cafe, and then have like these finger foods of like crackers, cheese, and maybe some kind of like I don't know sausage or some kind of meat or ham, and over a glass of maybe wine or something like fancy bitch shit, but relaxed. You know, more like a relax because I need a smoke. They're actual trees, not weed. Oh Lord. Yeah, I need medicine. And we wanted to take some back with him. Oh shit. He said the trees. Yeah, he not weed. Shit, he should have brought some weed too. I'm like, Trump, man, you could just dropped it off here, because you could have flown right through where I live and just dropped off the medicine and on a parachute. I would have caught it. And yeah, I definitely want to go over there to their cafe and have a smoke. Like that's like a dream come true for me. Dude, I want a bathrobe like that. Or slippers, socks, and underwears. Yeah, as a kid, man, that type of bathrobe, and I get her. I get her a lot of stuff, so I make up for her father. I always say if you don't have nothing nice to say about them, don't even say nothing to them. So that's why I'm taking that road because he's just not a good person. It's just he's not very supportive. He's like I don't know. He's just his own little mess. He's his own. That's a own. And I don't even know the dude, and I could already feel the energy. Yeah, it takes a village to raise a kid. Yeah, that's true. Nowadays, there isn't really a village, and that's sad. Yeah, that's sad because there's not like many support. But if I could do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna support Paris. To me is overrated. Yeah, Paris is overrated. It's fucking dirty too. I'm sorry, Paris, but the only thing you have is the damn the Eiffel Tower, and you have cool stuff. You do have cool stuff, but you guys like too many immigrants, and I think that's the problem. The problem is the whole world has been like infested with immigrants, and they are like locusts. They're tearing things down and eating up society and becoming a menace. So a menace of society, and they gotta remove them. They gotta have a full operation, worldwide operation. It's just not America. This is a problem that every country in the world has, and it's illegal immigrants. Let's see. I would love a cruise. Oh yeah, to the North Pole. I will one day. I wanted to go on a cruise too, but I wanted to do a Caribbean cruise. I wanted to go for a week. So that's still probably for next year. I think I'm gonna go on a cruise for a week. And I wanna go I wanna go to I wanna see if the cruise I could get it to Aruba. Because I could always fly from my airport here, fly from my airport to Puerto Rico, and then from Puerto Rico I could take the cruise from there. And then they usually go through the Caribbean islands, like the Eastern Caribbean. So I could go possibly to like the ABC Islands, and that would be a cool cruise. Like I think I'll have a good time. But not during hurricane season. Not during hurricane season. It can't. It's not. It's very risky. Definitely, if you're gonna do a cruise or any type of travel during hurricane season here and this part of the world, which is North America, Central America, and even South America, but the northern part of South America. It's hurricane season right now. So if you're going to go anywhere in the Caribbean for a vacation or any stay, make sure you put traveler's insurance. Go ahead and pay that extra little fee, especially if you're not checking the weather properly and you're not, shit happens. Like shit happens. People think, oh, well, there's not a hurricane coming, so I'm not going to put travel insurance. Bitch, how about there's an earthquake? People forget that. It's like the Caribbean islands, they go through earthquakes too, especially Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic and like even Cuba and all the islands. We have this issue with earthquakes. Shit, Puerto Rico just had one a little north of Puerto Rico between Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico. It was a 5.7 earthquake. And parts of the island by Aguadilla, Puerto Rico, felt the tremor. They felt the vibration of the earthquake. So there's going to be a day that Puerto Rico is going to get hit by a hard earthquake, and I hope it's not the day that you plan on taking a vacation over there and you didn't put insurance on your trip, because then you're gonna be fucked. You're gonna regret it. You're gonna be like, damn man, I should have listened to Rick, man. He was just saying this. Like, no, just put the insurance. It's worth it. Especially if your flight gets canceled or if things happens, then you get reimbursed. That's why the insurance, what it's for, it's like we cover and for the inconvenience, and they will put you in a hotel and everything, and it's not out of your pocket because the insurance covers it. You got to think sometimes that you have to think of the worst case scenario before the best. You got to think, proactive, especially out in the Caribbean. You never know. You never know. It's Puerto Rico knows. The earthquakes, there's no joke. It's no joke. Nobody talks about it, right? Because nobody mentions the earthquakes, like especially in the Caribbean, but a lot of earthquakes. Like I've never felt it, and I knock on wood, I don't want to ever feel it, but it happens. And when a big one hits, it's gonna fuck up Puerto Rico bad. It's gonna fuck them up. But and on top of that, they're like right bullseye in hurricane season, where hurricanes just come in through Africa and head towards the Caribbean, and they're like they're like right in the bullseye. And it's been a while since they got hit by a hurricane. The last one, I believe, it was Maria that fucked them up. They got hit pretty big, like back to back with hurricanes, and this year I hope that nothing bad happens, but I have a bad feeling about it. Oh shit, Rick! No, don't do it. Yeah, I have a bad feeling about this year hurricane season. It's gonna be very active. I think a lot of people are gonna die this year. Like throughout, like I hope not the Carolinas and Florida, but man, the Carolinas, you know, just it's just gonna be just a weird year. It's just fucking weird. It's just weird. But we'll keep an eye on it, and I'll even cover the tropics too, where the tropical cyclones here and this side of the world. We call them hurricanes. Well, I'll keep tabs on it, and if there's something really bad developing and it's gonna put many lives in danger, we'll cover it. I'll cover it here. It's like I'm pretty much doing everything, but I'm doing everything like energy wise, and what I'm feeling and what I feel that I need to pay attention to. That's what I'm focusing my energy on. Lately, it's been politics because they make a big difference, and if you don't pay attention, you're kind of like left out, right? Like if you don't know, then you don't know shit, and it's like. Yeah, it's a problem. Oh yeah, I want to see this again. Oh yes, I want to see the Miami Mayor, not Miami Mayor, the Miami Chaos, not the Miami Mayor. It's chaos at Miami-Dade ICE hearing as women dragged out by the deputies that were there. Let me see. I'm trying to see one more news. I just want to end it with probably that. I mean, the Supreme Court, that's going to be a big deal all day today. They're going to be talking about that decision here. And it's, let's see. Yeah, this is, a lot of people are complaining about YouTube. Look at this, Clownfish TV. I'm actually subscribed to them. And they did a video. YouTube doesn't want you anymore. Wow. I'm going to have to watch that later. Actually, let me put it now to watch later. I always put like things I want to watch, I watch it later, and I actually watch it later and I take it off my list. But let me see this chaos because I wanted to see. Because I think this is 5 minutes 22 seconds. Okay, so because I only saw the part where they were dragging her out. I wanted to see the whole thing, and now they put a video of the whole thing. So I want to see it with you guys. So let me set it up here. And let's watch this together. And this is going to be the last story because I got to get going. So I'm going to be leaving after this. So by 9 minutes, I'll be out of here.
There will be no opportunity to speak on this item again. I'm only saying this over and over because I want to give you all the opportunity to speak on this item.
The question you need to answer is that, do I want to speak today? Or do I want to reserve my rights in the future to intervene in the event that it comes back? I hope that this is clear. It is your choice. You know that we, my colleagues and I, we always want you to hear your voices. We want you to be here. We want to hear your voices.
We will work with the administration and make sure that those questions are answered.
Thank you. That said, I'm going to continue public hearing, and those that wish to speak may speak. I think Commissioner Bastien explained it perhaps better than I did.
Yeah, Aruba, Kingdom of Netherlands. Oh, that's
We will
cool.
have order.
Oh, look.
We will have order in this chamber.
Let go of me. Let go of me. Stop. No. Stop what you're doing. Let me go. Let me go. I can stand and I can be quiet. No. I have a right to understand this process. Stop it.
Let her speak. 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 Let her speak.
Why is that? Let me go.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This is fucking crazy. Hold on. This happened yesterday. Okay. Okay. Let me come back to me. Okay. That happened yesterday. I was born in Miami, that city, that where you're seeing what's going on right there. I lived not too far from that as growing up as a kid. And this was happened yesterday, right? Craziness. Like this got crazy. But I want to go back a little bit because I want to see when it broke out, when she and it was right here. And I want to play it, and then I'm gonna let it go all the way through, and then I'll speak upon it.
We will have order in this chamber. We will have order in this chamber.
Let go of me. Let go of me. Stop. No. Stop what you're doing. Let me go. Let me go. I can stand and I can be quiet. No. I have a right to understand this process. Stop it.
Let her speak. 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 Let her speak.
Why is that? Let me go. You don't need to do this. I just needed a moment. Stop. Let her go. Let her I just asked a question. Everybody's immigrant here. Did you forget that? Look at your last names. Look at your kids. Look at your last names. Where you come? Look at your last names. Regalado, Bermúdez, González, Rodríguez. Look at your shame. Shame on you. You're selling out to your own people that voted for you. They're kidnapping immigrants. Go work. Go work. Do you have a special business?
If one of them speaks, public hearing will be open and then closed. And they could all speak at that point, by the way, today. Everyone will have an opportunity to speak, not just one person. But if this item ever comes back, they will not have that opportunity granted again, a second time. You speak once on every item, has been the practice of this board, and we all know this. This is not new to any commissioner on this board, that public hearing is had one time in the history of the item.
The mayor has already agreed to this. She signed this in March. The only reason this was brought forward is because we're not getting paid for it. That's the only reason. I'm looking at this in a fiscal perspective. We have a $400 million deficit. The administration can explain whether we're getting reimbursed or not. All this does is make them reimburse us. That's it. I have been told the administration has been doing this since 2019. That's not us. That's what the mayor and the administration has been doing. I just want to make sure that if this is true, we are being compensated by the federal government and we don't continue to go into a deficit. That's it.
This is not something about which I have a choice. This is the law of Florida, and it was required that this agreement be signed. It came to the board as a routine matter for ratification.
Government DeSantis is using cruelty as a political theater. And by supporting the 287G agreement, you are helping him to do it. Now he wants to build a detention camp as a political theater in the Everglades, surrounded by alligators and the Florida extreme heat and land that befall to this county.
Question why you, Commissioner Gonzalez, are the sponsor of this bill. As a non-birthright citizen, you came to the U.S. at the age of 2 in the 90s and didn't become a citizen until 2014. Correct me if I'm wrong. Your legal proceedings took 10 years. I imagine you wouldn't be in the U.S. or in your county commissioner seat if mass violent aggressors took you illegally away inside
She's
immigration
reading from a
court
paper.
while your lawyer was in the bathroom or while the judge is printing a document that protects you from inhumane detentions.
She's
So I
reading
don't
from a
understand
paper.
the
She's reading from a
hypocrisy
script.
or intentional threat to.
You see? That's it. You're reading from a script. Oh boy. Well, that's here and that's in Florida. That's in South Florida. That's actually the city I was born. Oh Lord, Miami. Miami, Florida. Thank goodness I don't live there anymore. I'm in good old Northeast Connecticut. So it's I'm between New York and Boston, like Massachusetts. Literally, I'm sandwiched between 3 states: New York, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. And yeah, it doesn't take me long to get to Boston. It's a good little drive. It's I'll probably end up going maybe sometime this year to Boston because I want to go to Salem. Of course, I want to go to Salem. Fuck, I love that place. That place is amazing. I go there every year, and I'm thinking about going this year for Halloween, because I tend to go to Salem for Halloween, and I always have a freaking good time. I always have a blast. So, if things work out, as they should, I'll probably be going there in October, maybe, because my sister wants me to go to Florida. She wants me to go down, to visit. So I'm debating, but I want to go to Salem. So I'm definitely going to Salem this year. I'm not 100% sure for Halloween because I think my sister wants me to go trick-or-treating with my niece this year. So I might have to go. And my sister, she usually takes my niece to SeaWorld. She takes her to SeaWorld for the trick-or-treating and all the Halloween festivity, like for the kids. And I think they want me to go there in October. So that's what I'm most likely end up going to probably do this year. But I'm still going to Salem this year. I'm thinking of something that might surprise people. They were like, "Oh shit, look, he's in Salem." Like, hey, look, I'm in Salem and I'm going through the stores and, just try to have a live feed and hopefully have internet. I have enough juice as far as batteries concerned because I have like a big ass battery charger that I have there. It's actually can charge my phone like 10 times over. Like it won't run out of battery, my phone, so I could go live for like hours and hours. So I could go, show you Salem, walk through Salem, and yeah, it'd be a cool thing. It's there's a lot of stores that I love going there and checking out, and I'm thinking about it. Man, they're working on the grass out here. Like, this is the time for me to go. because you're gonna hear the blower now, and that's all you hear is like, oh no, they're cleaning out and they're cutting grass. But I would love to visit Salem. Yes, Moontang. It's so freaking. It's awesome. I've done it. It's on my channel. Like you can always go back and watch. I even have a short of a store. It was forgot the name of the store, but I know where it's at, and I know it's a great little place, and I love the music. When I go in there, it's so relaxing. The energy and the vibration is such a good spot. I usually buy something every time I go there. I get something, and it's it's a cool spot. It's a really cool spot. I mean, I love Salem. I do. Um, and I want to go back to Niagara Falls this year. So that's definitely on the plans. And also, I want to check out Watkins Glen. I want to check out a couple of waterfalls. They told me don't chase waterfalls, but I am not sticking to the rivers and the lakes that I'm used to. No, I'm gonna go chase them. Like TLC, what happened? You didn't chase the waterfalls, and now you guys are dead. Like, no, left eye. I'm gonna go chase the waterfall, and I'm gonna have a good time, and I'm gonna put it on video, and a lot of people are gonna see it. And yeah, it's but yeah, it's something I want to do and get out back into nature because this is a good time to get back to nature. All who lives in the northern hemisphere, this is summertime, and it's time to get out to nature and enjoy nature and ground yourself and go walk on grass and listen to the water, listen to the rivers, listen to the waterfalls, like the vibration. Like every time I go near a waterfall, it's like I get recharged. It's great feeling, great energy. The vibrations, the sound, the visuals. It's beauty. Like we have a beautiful waterfalls out here, and it's called Kent Falls. I will post it actually on my Discord so you guys can see what I'm talking about. This waterfall is so beautiful. I have video of it too. So beautiful. I truly love this waterfalls. You know what? I'm gonna post it on Discord when I get off here in a few minutes. I'll post it. I believe Moontang, you're in the My Mind Over Your Matter. I think I sent you the link to it, and Albie's already in there, and others like Tyson's in there, and Stephanie, I believe, is in there too. So I'm getting a group, a little army set up inside My Mind Over Your Matter on Discord. And if you want to join, you're more than welcome to come through and let's start having fun and putting information out there and sharing information. And yeah, that's what it is. It's all about communication and manifesting, right? We got to manifest what we want and put our minds to it. But with that said, I'm going to get going. I want to wish everybody a good morning, good afternoon, and a good night. And I definitely will catch you on the flip side. I'm thinking about coming on later on tonight. I'm thinking about it because I'm going to go out to eat tonight. It's Friday night, and I feel all right. I feel good. It's Friday, so I want to. I'm thinking about having foreign food. I feel like eating some foreign food. And what I mean by foreign food, it's I have my choices. I have Thai food, or Japanese sushi, or it's kind of Japanese slash like Chinese restaurant. It's like a flair. It's like a mix of both. worlds. It's very Asian, and their food is delicious. Holy smokes! It's a far drive for me though. It's about a 40-minute drive, 45-minute drive, depending on the traffic. 45-minute drive, but the food is delicious. Holy smokes, it's so good. Um, but I'm thinking maybe Thai food today. The Thai food is not that far, and I've never been to this one restaurant. And I was like, man, I would like to try it because it's like a small like mom and pop's place, and these mom and pop places, they cook fucking good. Especially as family like running, like family owned. Oh man, like if your food sucks, then your family sucks. Like they, it's like they cook with pride. They cook like they're cooking for like a feast for extended family. Um, yes, I think I'm gonna have Thai food today. Yes, I'm gonna have Thai. I want some curry chicken. But yeah, I'll let you guys go and continue. Have a great day, and yeah, I'll see y'all later. It's later to me. I say I try to stick to an hour. I want to stick to 7. To come back on here 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm not 100% sure on the timing, but I think 7 p.m. Eastern time it should be okay. I mean, for Moontang, it's late for her. I'm surprised she up. I'm like, what is she doing? She need to be sleeping. And she's been busy and stuff. And I was like, girl, you need to get some rest. But I appreciate you when you come on here and stuff. It's very entertaining, and yeah, I always have a good time, and bring you guys some attention to what's been going on. Like the last thing that we saw with the chaos in Miami, that was in reference of the alligator Alcatraz that they want to build, and actually in the Everglades, which they already have the runway there. I did a show on it. Like if you go back, I only have 4 people that watched it. I can't believe only 4 people watched it. It was a freaking good show too. It was about the alligator like detention center. It's okay. It's a detention center for illegal migrants and those that are going to be deported and so forth. And that area has a runway. It's a working runway, and they could bring in even military planes can land on it. That's how big that runway is. Like even like the president could land there. Like big military planes could land there. Like jumbo planes could land there. It's a big runway, and they want to make it to a detention center. They want to make an area there, like a huge detention center that's actually guarded by alligators and pythons and snakes, a lot of different snakes, not only just pythons. We're talking about all different types of deadly snakes. And then good luck, because it's actually like over 30 something miles to civilization, right? And if you don't make it during daylight, if you ever escape, you can't walk in the nighttime there because everything is pitch black. And the only time you'll be able to possibly like escape, if you were to escape, is during a full moon, because you will need that light to guide you and be able to see what's in front of you. Because and don't get it twisted, Florida has panthers. They have a lot of creatures for sure. I wouldn't want to like mess with anything there, but yeah, we'll talk about it tonight. I gotta go. You gotta go too. We'll see you later. I'll see you later. Have a good one. Peace.